Hello, welcome back to another episode of Xbox Infinite. Sorry, guys, I was having some pretty annoying hardware issues. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but hopefully the computer can hold it together. As you can hear, my voice is still not 100% after the show. I was screaming a lot, getting really excited. And there's a lot to be excited about this week. Before we get into all of that, though, we'll do the introductions. Garuda, Intruda, welcome back, man. It's great to have you back. What a great week for Xbox. What have you been up to? What have you been playing?
Yeah, thanks, brother. Thanks, guys, for having me back on, especially in a week where we've got so much to talk about. It's so exciting. Yeah, man. Look, I've been working a lot, which sucks. I've been playing Diablo 4, like just probably almost every single one of you guys at the moment. And of course, I've been playing Vampire Survivors. It had an update because I had to get my 100% back again. That's awesome. I've been playing other stuff too. I just can't remember what it was, but Diablo 4's taken all my time up, man. And just like watching all these showcases, super exciting time to be an Xbox gamer, man. Like the narrative is just completely flipped from that doom and gloom stuff. It feels like a dream at this point, man. You know, that's long gone. So yeah, man, thanks for having me. We've got lots to talk about. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. There's heaps to talk about. I do not know what's going on with this computer. I'm still trying to resolve issues in the background. So if I do drop frames, guys, I'm really, really sorry. I'll work on that throughout the show. Doom Cutie, welcome back. Another great week. Why is your name saying D?
I have no idea. Absolutely no idea why it's showing up like that. That's completely out of my control. So apologies about that, but I'm so glad that you made it home safely from your trip to LA. Very exciting. Yeah, it's been a huge week. It feels like Christmas, and I can't wait to talk more about this stuff with you guys. I haven't actually gamed as much as I thought I would, and I'm sure Riskit's a little bit in the same boat just because we've been out and about and traveling and things like that. So yeah, but still amazing news to talk about, and yeah, can't wait.
Absolutely. There's heaps, and we'll go in order this week. Infinite Umbra, welcome back. How's your week been? What have you been up to? A huge week for Xbox, so it's been pretty exciting to talk about.
Oh, man, it's been a great week. It's been a legendary week. One of the best showcases Xbox has ever had. I had one of the best shows so far on the Fix I've ever had. We had Rand, we had Dealer, we had Everborn Saga, we had Dirt Griggity. Man, excellent. Excited in general, man. My hype has not died down. I don't think it'll die down at all this year. Excited to play Starfield. I can't get it out of my head. It's just I'm blown away still, and happy to be here talking games with all of you guys, of course. And the D, by the way, the reason why it just shows that for Doom Cutie is because she's Toxic Cutie today. It wouldn't allow her to be just Doom Cutie.
Oh, yes, of course. Of course you would say that.
I don't want to get into why. I'm not going to put on a spotlight, but just know that it's just a woman's world for her, and she doesn't have room for us peon men. I don't want to go into
far too big for that. Just saying. It doesn't fit anywhere.
Well, it's good to have you both. And JediKnightPeter, welcome back. Another fantastic week. I know you guys have been playing a lot of Diablo, but a lot's been happening this week, so there's a lot to talk about outside of Diablo. But yeah, how's your week been? I know what you've been playing.
Yeah, first off, mate, kudos to you, brother. 24-hour flight and still doing the show. So thank you, man. I know we missed last week, and we missed everyone in the chat, missed talking gaming with you guys. Wow, the Xbox showcase was just amazing. Can't wait to get into it, talk about it with you guys. And I've been playing nothing else but Diablo 4. Game has hooked me. I have reached tier 4. Got there with a little bit of help from our friends, Umbra and Boba. So thank you to both you guys. Do this.
Absolutely, let's definitely do it. And again, I apologize if I drop frames. Everyone in the chat, it's awesome to see you. Happy Bomb for the first time. It's fantastic to meet you in LA. That Blue Number, Big Steve McNasty, all the old school boys, Talos Reek, Thimba, Grey Monad, Timmy. You guys are amazing. Toolman55. I really appreciate you guys coming through every weekend, supporting us. So look, let's dive into it. It was a really huge week for me, being out in LA, getting to meet everybody, getting to meet some of the creators of these amazing games. And I definitely want to talk about mainly what I really loved about the entire thing was mostly the community. The community was so welcoming. It wasn't. I don't think it would have mattered whether I was a creator, whether I was, if you're part of this community, everyone just welcomes you in, and that was fantastic to see. Like, it was a bit nerve-wracking flying over to LA by myself. Didn't have my family with me. Sort of a bit of a fish out of water. I was worried about being shot most of the time. I didn't get shot, so that was great. I don't know if that's an American experience, though. You should get shot while you're there. Didn't happen. But obviously the games are what we were there for. And we sort of started out with the Games Fest while I was there, and that was crazy to be in reaching distance of those extremely shiny shoes that Nick Cage was wearing. But I think we're going to kick the show off this week with what happened with the Xbox showcase and how amazing it is. And there definitely is a different feel. I think one of you guys was saying earlier, there's a different feel about Xbox now. We're all sort of down in the dumps. We're all a little bit worried about, the direction of Xbox. Everyone had that doubt in their mind to think about the showcase. And I think they started it off in just a fantastic way with Fable, which I believe I thought it was going to go last, but honestly, that is I'm going to sort of remove Starfield, but that was my standout of the show. I just couldn't believe it. I think Colt was saying earlier on Xbox 2 that we were elbowing each other most of the show. And that started off the elbows. It was like, oh my God, this is Fable. So look, I thought it was...
that was the same in Melbourne as well. Like the moment it was like, wait, is this? No, it's not. And like the whole crowd, everyone just like inhaled like at the same time, like and gasped. It was so cool.
Yeah, we heard it was going to be like a massive opening. We sort of got told that by some of the PR guys were like, and I think even Greeny said like, get ready for the opening because it's going to be crazy. Did not expect Fable. Didn't expect it to look the way it did. And there's a lot of discourse around this at the moment as well. So I am going to jump to the panel. Cutie, what did you think of Fable when it opened? Was it like just a massive surprise to you? I mean, as you were saying?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we were just in little Melbourne. We weren't, out with the big guys and hearing lots of those little rumors. I think everyone was just extremely hopeful that it would be, something amazing. And the moment they opened with Fable, I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. It's happening. Like, I don't know how it can get better from here. Like straight away. So yeah, they opened strong, which I think we all knew they would. They really grabbed our attention so that a lot of the other games were, really, really good to us. And I think it looks great, and I can't wait. I really can't. It looks incredible.
Yeah, I mean, and I thought when they closed off Fable that we saw a 2024 release date. I don't know why we all thought that. Everyone of us in the crowd sort of thought that was sort of a thing, but then there is no actual release date, so we may have to wait a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
Garuda,
I don't know how to happen either, Riskit. I kept saying it on other shows too, like it's 2024.
Yeah.
People were like, I don't see that on there. I'm like,
no, it wasn't. No, but wasn't it because they had to change their whole team?
No, that wasn't them. That was for Everwild with
Rare. Okay.
But with this, I could have sworn I saw it say coming 2024. I don't know how I thought that, but
because I think most of them
dreams
said that.
were manifesting.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's a good thing they haven't put 2024 on it because then we'll just get let down. You know what I mean? But I think it was really exciting to see something.
Yeah, it really, really was, and to see what it's gonna be. Like everyone was sort of ruminating on, will it be the same art style? What kind? Will they remove the humor? It seems like they sort of changed. They've sort of modernized the entire thing from the graphics to the humor to the, everything. Garuda, what did you think of Fable? Is it something that you've been waiting for?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember all the way back reading the Xbox magazines. Sorry, can you guys hear me okay?
Absolutely, we can hear you perfectly.
Something just happens. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I remember reading the Xbox magazines back in the original Xbox days, and I remember Fable had the project name, Project Ego. I'm not sure if you remember that. And that game just looked too good to be true. And I remember Peter Molyneux, coming out making these outlandish claims, and my hype for the original Fable was just through the roof. Now, when it came out, it wasn't quite what he lived up to, how you could cut a tree down and, it would never grow back and all these kind of unbelievable claims he made, but it was still a fantastic game, right? So, two was excellent as well. 3, I didn't like as much, but yes, I was hyped for Fable. And I'm going to make a bit of a confession here. When I saw the opener on that showcase, and we were all in the party watching it, I didn't think it was gameplay. I thought it looked beautiful. I loved the direction they were taking with it. Everything about it was just amazing, except until the last couple of days when we got confirmation of that and that Phil Spencer interview, I thought that was more of just in-game cinematics, not raw gameplay. I didn't think that was how the game was going to look, but it's been confirmed in a number of ways that is pretty much what we're going to be playing. And with that in mind, man, this is really everything you could want Fable to be. It touches on the humor without being ridiculous. The art style is incredible. The fidelity, just the visual fidelity was probably what you expect Playground games to come with, wasn't it? Really, but if that's the way it's going to look when I have a controller in my hand, like, wow, everybody should be excited, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and there was a bit of back and forth, and there's still people who don't think that was gameplay. But and look, I had to go back and watch it again because we're obviously in the crowd, and everything was popping off, and then it was next trailer. So I sort of didn't get a lot of time to digest it. I did get back to my room and checked it out, and look, honestly, it you could spot the bits that were fully gameplay, but it did say in engine, Umbra. I mean, did you think when you first saw it that it was gameplay, or did you just think that was a CGI trailer?
I thought it was CGI, man. I was blown away, but I thought it was a few things I felt during that. For one, like elation, because I didn't think it would open the show. I thought it would be Hellblade 2. And we'll get to that point of Hellblade, but I thought it would have been Hellblade 2. But then when I saw Playground pop up on the screen, I'm like, oh wow, they're really going with Fable first. What a ballsy move. And by the way, it was hit after hit after hit of first party games, which just made the showcase that much more impressive. But when I saw it, I thought too that it was just CGI or in engine at least, because they already told us it would be largely in engine. So I thought it was just in engine, like little cut stuff and work, whatever done. But then when you go back to look at it, you can see moments where there was actual gameplay, like when she threw the fireball and things of that nature. And then, so you still have a lot of our Hooves brothers online right now still in denial about it. Oh, that's not that. Even with devs coming out saying that's gameplay, so
that's just the stages of grief that they're going through, brother. This
absolutely
showcase really hurt them, bro.
Absolutely hurt them. But like seeing it, like I said, I was elated too, but also relieved, I guess is the word I want to use, because we know Playground is excellent in general, but that has always been in the field of car racing games, and Forza Horizon. We didn't know how they would do when it comes to transitioning to something like this, although I did have faith in them all along because they have yet to fail us, but it's a whole new thing. But seeing that right there, it erased any doubt that I may have had in my heart from from what they're doing here. I'm just fully invested, fully interested in seeing what they do and how to implement everything. It looks like they're going to a fairy tale kind of approach with it, with the Jack and the Beanstalk situation, the castle, the fairy, the frog, which I think is like the frog and the princess. So I'm very interested in seeing if it's still the traditional Albion or whatever. Mm-hmm. But man, I was just blown away, and I it's hard to believe that that's real. So I get why our Hoove brothers are kind of like in shock still, because we're still in shock, but we're willing to be like, oh, we'll accept it. They don't want to accept it. So I'm just impressed overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to be anything other than impressed. I think by that.
Yeah,
showcase.
I don't think anyone's disappointed.
Yeah. How could you have any sort of negative connotations around that Fable showing? Like, that was wild.
Yeah, and it was absolutely crazy. And then I did see in-game, I think it was in-game engine was what was showing, or in-game footage through the entire thing. And I was just like, I mean, wow. And the first thing I thought the same thing. I was like, is this CGI? Like, are we getting, and then I was like, well, probably just in-engine sort of cutscenes. But for the most part, Pete, there was a fair bit of gameplay. If you go back and watch it, I don't think it was 50-50, but there was a decent amount. You can sort of get an idea. And then looking at what they've done with, like the Jack and the Beanstalk type thing, my concern is that that's going to be the whole game. Are we fighting giants, or are they just taking you into like a fairy tale world? Is that what we're sort of getting into? Is it going to be,
yeah,
is it going
I
to
look at the graphics and sorry, you go, Doomy.
No, I think that's a fantastic route to take. Like, I honestly, like, medieval fairy tale, just, yes, today, please. Oh my God. It is going to be so much fun. It really leans into that fantastical, magical, and you can really play with that, the Fable brand in that setting. And I think it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah, but are they going to limit themselves, Pete? And I want to go to you and get sort of your thoughts on the Fable. I mean, they definitely want to talk about the big games, and there's a few little ones I want to talk about too. But Pete, do you see this sort of going in a full Jack of the Beanstalk? That's what it's going to be, the whole game, or do you think they're going to sort of spread it across the whole fairy tale setting?
Yeah, look, I don't want them to focus on fairy tales. I get the Jack and the Beanstalk theme, but I want an original story told. I was talking about this on Game Set Live yesterday with KY. I want an original story told, but then someone said that what if it's like Shrek and they use the fairy tales as a backdrop, and I can see where they're coming from. I think if they do it that way, it can be quite successful with an overarching story in the background and a independently told story. So look, that's what I think about that. But what a showcase. Shout out to everyone I had a watch party with, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think there was 12 or 13 of us there. And I get why we didn't get the 2024 release date Umbra, because we were all just so hyped watching it together, and it was just a great night to enjoy with friends. Fable, what a way to start the showcase. I thought they might start with Fable. Matt Booty has been talking about showing this game for a while now, and we all know why he wanted to show it. Shout out
you
to
called it,
Playground
Pete.
Games.
You called it that Fable was going to be first. I didn't think so, but you called it before the show for sure.
And it has that whimsical, comical feel to it. How good was it when they kicked the chicken? I loved that. And I think Lucas Colts is his name, put out on Twitter, people not believing this is real or in-game will look like this is one of the best compliments, #Fable, because he's actually been the designer for a lot of these scenes. And so, yeah, this is what the game's going to look like. And I can't wait, whether that be 2024, 2025, I just want to get my hands on.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. We didn't get a chance. I was hoping that there would be some of those bigger games just having a little hands-on downstairs or upstairs from the show. There wasn't actually any of the big ones. I know that some of the guys got a chance to play, some of the bigger creators, some of the media outlets got a chance to get their hands on some specific games. We'll talk about that later. But look, I just want to jump to, now that we've sort of talked about Fable, I do want to talk about Starfield, but do that a little bit later. But what was your standout for the show? Like, what was the sort of highlight of the show for you?
A highlight of the show outside of Starfield, you mean? Because I mean, Starfield just knocked it out of the park. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to say. I'm not really a fan of any of the Persona games, and then the other games were sort of like just smaller, I suppose. I mean, there was Forza. I feel like we didn't see very much of it. I would have liked to have seen a lot more. But outside of that, like Starfield and Fable were just like number one for me.
Yeah, definitely for me. Umbra, what's your standout in the show? What was your the major hit? It could be Starfield, that's fine. Like, but whatever. Well, I mean, obviously, I think Starfield's going to be everyone's.
Starfield is a standout. Yeah, that's like
it's really, but it was kind of like a sandwich.
Clockwork Revolution is easily top 3. So it was that for me, Fable and Clockwork Revolution. So if I had to pick anything outside of Starfield, and since we just announced Fable, I would say Clockwork Revolution, man. It was spectacular. It brought back feelings of BioShock Infinite. But to me, I felt like it was a fusion of that / Dishonored, and with the time control thing and the whole steampunk situation and everything. It just looks really. It looks like it's ready to go now. That's how good it looked. It looked like it could be ready within the end of this year.
That's wild that they said it's pre-alpha when it looks like it's ready to go now. So how's that game going to look?
It's going to look great, man. It's already looking great. So, and by the way, what engine did they use for that? Did you all remember?
Yeah, you know what it is. You know what it is.
I just wanted to
Don't
get you all to
answer
say
that
it.
question, Garuda. What the hell, man?
What? It was an innocent question.
I'm trying to.
No.
Hey, man, he's going to say it if we don't.
I mean, we had a bunch of Unreal Engine show outs here. I mean, we saw Hellblade. You saw her walking. That was Unreal Engine 5 at first before it cut over. But Clockwork Revolution, though, just to stick to the topic, that stood out too. It was the top 3 for me, and it was just so well done. And I wouldn't have believed that NXIL would do something like that. To go from Wasteland to that is a crazy jump.
Mm.
And I know it's the budget behind them too, which only makes me more solid in my belief, Risk, by the way, that consolidation by the way of Microsoft acquiring the studios. I'm sorry. It only solidified my thought that it's the right way to go. And I'm not saying not without reason, right? It has to be within reason. What's up, Noof? I see you. But I think that these game developers, rather, getting the chance to shine and experiment and to be able to put out not only passion projects, but to elevate themselves like them in Compulsion, putting out new games like this with a proper budget behind them and given the freedom that Phil will give them. This is very unique. You don't really get this anywhere else. PlayStation would never do this. PlayStation, you're going to be making some AAA games or else that's it. And you better score 90 something. That's how it is. Somebody came out recently talking about that. But Microsoft gives their teams the creative freedom to go out and do what they want. And this is the result of that. This is part of that result. So we're rewarded. We're rewarded because of this. And to see them jump from that to this, I would have never guessed that this was an NXIL game. And so you can expect them to bring their expertise in RPGs with it and everything else like that. Deep character, dialogue, all these other things. I'm super excited for this game. And I think everybody else should be too.
Yeah.
I agree. That was one of my standouts as well.
Pete, what was your standout? What was the standout?
Well, I can't go past Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars is my jam, and kudos to Microsoft getting Ubisoft third-party game, knowing that Ubisoft was going to have an event the next day. I think that's really great marketing by both Ubisoft and Microsoft, because Ubisoft's event, they went more into the deep dive, they went more into gameplay, but Xbox got that big announcement, that massive showing. So well done to them. And Umbra, I disagree. I've been expecting something like this from inXile for a while, and they finally got the budget behind them. They've always been fantastic storytellers, but they've always had to dumb down their projects a little bit due to lack of funding. Now Microsoft's money behind them, their Clockwork Revolution just stood out. It looked beautiful and was definitely up there. So for me, it was Clockwork Revolution. Starfield, obviously. I don't think any game's ever shown as well as Starfield showed. The amount of content that they put into that trailer and then extended deep dive, it just kept getting better and better. And Star Wars. But going back to Starfield, I mean, what I was worried about with Starfield is how the combat's going to feel.
We'll jump onto that later, Pete. We'll jump into Starfield later because they
were definitely my 3 standouts. I needed to see a little bit more from Fable to add it to it, but those 3 were my standouts.
Now, listen, I got a Huggy chatting with the $5 super chat says, my man Riskit for the Biscuit gets asked by an Xbox camera crew the one thing you would want to tell the Xbox team, and his response is, "Buy WB." I did say that.
Good thinking. That's exactly what you should have done. I'm proud of you.
I'm all for consolidation where it makes sense, and where I don't think it's going to damage the industry. And WB, I think, would make sense. We've got a lot of IPs that are sort of worthy of a TV show, or worthy of movies, and there's a lot of IPs within WB that would make sense for the Xbox brand. And so
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised you said that.
yeah, so for me, like that would make sense, and I'm definitely not, down with let's just buy everything. No, but where it does make sense, I definitely am super into that. I don't know, I'm still having issues with the damn computer in the background, which is annoying, but we'll get there. And my voice is down. But listen, there's one thing that I don't think we've seen a lot of people do. Peter, I 110% agree with you. One of my standouts was Star Wars Outlaws. That actually got me out of my seat. And I was literally standing up for that one, and then I'd sit back down because I was, obviously blocking everyone's view. But look, there's one that a lot of people haven't done a lot of questions. What was your biggest disappointment? Or you can have a couple. What were your biggest disappointments, Cutie, in the show? Stuff that you wanted to see, you didn't see.
I don't know. I forget the name of this game, and probably people are going to scold me for it. But why would I play a rock climbing game?
Ooh,
To get to the heights. I don't know.
What? I don't know why, like, it was there. Like, you're putting, what was the game?
Is it just
I don't know,
Sun?
but I didn't mind
Yeah.
that indie showing, Cutie. Like, once you saw a little bit
No,
more...
I'm for indie games, that's fine. I just,
Yeah, but
I
it
don't
was
know.
a platforming game at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
after they showed that rock climbing scene, I thought the actual platforming looked quite fun.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's just the least excited that game from the showcase, and that's what Riskit asked. So, and that was mine.
So there's nothing else that you were sort of disappointed in? You're pretty happy
No.
with it? You were super happy with
Like, I expected that there were going to be Persona titles there. I knew that already. There was four.
Yes, couple. What do we got? We got
So
Reload and
yeah, like I wasn't excited by them, but also like I knew that they were going to be there. That they were going to show those off, which was awesome. There were some small woos in the crowd over those, but yeah, probably the game that I was least excited about was that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Garuda, anything in the show disappoint you that you weren't sort of happy with? Something you would have liked to have been there, or?
Hell yeah, Hellblade disappointed the hell out of me. I was like, not even during the showcase in the watch party. Sorry if I put a bummer on that show in that particular trailer.
You weren't happy.
I'm sorry, that sucks. I wasn't happy. That is not what we didn't need to see her standing there for 2 minutes with exactly the same stuff we've already seen. Doesn't illuminate anything else on the gameplay. Doesn't expound upon what we're going to be actually doing in the game. We see no combat. We see no real. What else do we see? We know it looks good. We know the game looks amazing. We know the graphics are going to be stunning. We know the motion capture, the lighting, everything about the visuals is unprecedentedly good. What did that do to get you hyped for Hellblade 2? I don't understand why we've seen that. Why that needed to be there. If that's all you were going to show, I wouldn't have shown it. Honestly. Because all it does is leave people wanting more and scratching their heads like, why are you... What's so hard about showing some actual combat gameplay? Because it does nothing to dispel the thoughts and the worries that this is going to be another walking simulator. I'm sorry, it did nothing for me, Hellblade 2. It looks stunning and I'm looking forward to it, and I did enjoy the first game, but to me it just looks like it's going to be more of the same. I was disappointed by that showing.
Yeah, I don't know if you can say it's definitely going to be more of the same, because we know the background, we know what they've been doing, we just haven't seen it.
Not definitely, but they've shown us nothing to say that it's going to be much different. Like, I really thought that with all the talk they've been doing about the mocap, the martial artists that they've been bringing in to do the work on the game for the combat, like, we're just seeing nothing of that. We haven't even seen her fight anything, and we saw quote-unquote gameplay when she fought that big baby at the Game Awards like 18 months ago. And we haven't seen anything since then. Like, it's wild, really, when you think about it. So that, for me, was a bit disappointing, to be honest.
Yeah, look, I don't disagree with that. There was a couple of disappointments for me, but Umbra, what was there anything in there that this is sort of you weren't happy with? You wanted to be there, wasn't there, should have been there? Can be Starfield, can be anything.
Well, Starfield was there. It was there. No, but as far as I expected, I'll say this, but I'll also compliment them for this. I expected to see the collection of Fable or Gears. We didn't get either here, but I still do believe those are in the works. I think Nick, Special Nick, is going to get his vindication one day, eventually, for that Gears collection. I hope there's a Fable collection because that just makes too much sense to have that done, remastered or remade before the new game comes out. Just son, I definitely get what Cutie meant on that. I was talking about it on a previous podcast, and while I wasn't annoyed with it or hurt, and it was quick enough. Where it's
Yeah.
it's just something that didn't wow me or anything. But I think I know for sure I'm going to play it. So that's not even a question. But if I had to say something disappointed, Hellblade, I said the same thing while we were in a party with Garuda, and I said, why didn't they show any combat? Like they should have showed combat. We've seen her walk around. We know that it's gorgeous. It's an Unreal Engine 5. Do I have to go on and on with that? I don't. Okay, y'all don't want me to. Anyway, but so my thing is, we know that she's mentally disturbed in ways, and I'm not trying to be harmful the way I just said that, but we know all these things. Show us something else. Show us the combat. They know we wanted to see the combat. I know they knew it. They should have done that. Otherwise, like I kind of agree with Garuda. What's the use of you showing this? Now, you might have it at VGAs. I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess that we will see it at the VGA, and it makes sense that we would see it at the VGAs because that's when we first had it unveiled, Hellblade 2, and that trailer still left a mark on people, and that's why this game is so anticipated because of what we saw there. But yeah, I think if you're gonna have it at a showcase, show us. Don't do a little, oh, she got pulled in the water by her shadow self. Like, no, we don't want to see that. We don't want to see that and her crawling around. We want to see her slicing some of these, I don't know, Nordic ghosts or something up. That's what we want to see. So if I had to pick one, it would be Hellblade. Persona, I'm fine with. I've never played them, but that needed to be there, and it was already leaked, to be fair. But that metaphor, 3 games from Atlas being brought there, nobody can put that down as a negative. We might not want to play them, but there are tons of people who do want to play those games, and it coming to Xbox is big. You know what I mean? But if I had to go out on a limb outside of Hellblade 2, this is what I'll say. The ESO stuff, I would have said Monkey Island / Sea of Thieves, but that was actually pretty dope. It actually made me want to play Sea of Thieves again for the first time in years. Yeah, and I love Monkey Island, Adventures of Monkey. I played them all except the newest one. Haven't played. I'm going to get on that though. But I love, Guybrush and the characters there, so I'm actually kind of excited for that, really. But that needed to be there. These games needed to be there because this furthers their business with them. Sea of Thieves had a crazy rebound, as we all know. ESO still has millions of people subscribed to it. Fallout 76, despite its initial feelings and reception, actually rebounded as well, and it's doing well. It has millions of subscribers, so we know those things have to be there. But if I had to pick anything between that and Hellblade, those would be the lulls where I couldn't care less about. It would be those things, and then disappointment would be Hellblade 2.
Yeah, look, I can 110% agree with that. The combats needed to be there. I was sitting there in the, just like going combat. I mean, I don't know if Colt's still here, but he would have heard me going combat. Like, where is it? And we never got it. But look, I know we're gonna see it soon. Pete, what's your what are your thoughts? What was your
time out? You can't say that like that.
Yeah, hold up, Riskit. Yeah,
y'all heard that, right? I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah,
I know we will see it soon. Yeah, but so Pete, we heard that, Risk.
Oh, we're
Tell us your secrets, damn you.
Yeah, look, I got a chance to speak to a lot of different people, a lot of people in Xbox and a lot of people outside of Xbox, and before the show, I could make some predictions based on who I was talking to and who was there. So I knew Cyberpunk was going to be there. I knew there's a couple other things that are going to be there. I also know there's something else that's going to be sort of later down the track. But yeah, you're going to see combat for Hellblade pretty soon. Jedi, what was the thing that disappointed you the most, like in the show that wasn't there, or you thought wasn't a good enough showing? What was it for you?
Personally, it was Overwatch 2. I think that I understand why it's there and it's getting, I think story content, but I think it just overstayed its welcome. I think out of everything, there was a perfect flow going and no game really showed for too long, but Overwatch, I think, definitely showed for too long. The other things that were disappointing to me personally is we got to see Fallout 76, Elder Scrolls Online, more DLC content, but I can understand why they're there. I also am not interested in Persona personally, but I can understand why they're there. And I have to push back on this whole Hellblade 2 thing, not seeing combat. That game looks visually beautiful, absolutely stunning. The mental illness aspect of it, getting the voices in her head. I think that's the way they want to show off the game. And I think they also wanted to show off, and I don't think I've seen anyone else talk about this, is just how good the facial recognition system that they're showing in that game looks. And I think that's what they wanted to emphasize. And you could see when she was looking at herself in the reflection that it was go time. It was time to throw down. It was time to fight. And I think basically the next sequence will be a fight sequence. And that was all told by just one simple look in her eyes. And the way they did that was absolutely beautiful. I think they need to be commended on that.
I think you're right, Pete. Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
It looks stunning. You can really tell just how far games have come with the way that it just seems seamless. Like, I know for a fact that someone was shuffling her and moving her around, but it seemed like a cinematic experience. So, and I think people really, really love that, and the way that they have captured emotions and the way that the brain works and responding. I could already tell, like, the way that the sound was coming through. Obviously, it wasn't surround sound, but I could tell if I had headphones on, that scene would be very, very, engrossing. Like, I probably wouldn't be able to take my eyes away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that first game was wild. I've never experienced a game like that really utilizes audio in such an immersive way. I was actually shocked with the way you hear voice. It feels like they're coming from behind you, and it was so immersive. My biggest issue, and yes, oh man, it's probably, look, the best looking game ever, right? Like, ever. Like, there's nothing that looks better than that, probably almost objectively. But my biggest thing was, apart from the combat not being there, it's like the trailer didn't show anything that we didn't know. It's not really showing us something else that we didn't already know and we haven't already seen multiple times. That was probably my biggest thing with it,
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. It just didn't introduce anything new to us.
No.
It did. And it's funny, Scott, you mentioned Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 was such a non-factor, I forgot all about it being there. That's how low that. I guess I can, and maybe that'll be the low point, because I forgot all about that game being there.
Just on that, anyone who is a fan of Overwatch, the way that they're doing the PvE element, it feels so restrictive, and I feel really sorry for anyone who is into Overwatch, because I don't think it's gone in a direction that people like, and it's a shame.
Yeah, I was sad when they canned all that PvE stuff. Like, I'm not really into Overwatch, but that probably would have got me interested. But when that all got cancelled, my interest or hope for the game's just out the window. I won't even look at it. Like, I mean, that was sad, I think.
Yeah, look, I've never really been a big fan of sort of Overwatch. I mean, there's always going to be those ones there, and so that they aren't really my disappointments. The Overwatch 2, the Elder Scrolls, the Fallout 76. I actually didn't mind the Sea of Thieves thing, but they were always going to be there. Like, they're never not going to be there. If you're thinking that you're going to get a show without those games, it'll be when those games are finally dead and gone. So they're always going to be there. I mean, I suppose
went wild for Sea of Thieves. Like, oh my god, like, there were massive cheers, and I was like, okay, this is a thing. People,
well, I guess
people really like this.
That kind of removes the. I mean, a lot of people were talking to me about, it wouldn't be people are too old for Indiana Jones. Walking and Harrison Ford walking out on the stage, and that would have been great. It wasn't there. It would have been great, but like people saying, people are too young for that, and they don't remember the indie. I mean, well, Monkey Island is a lot older than Indiana Jones. Well, it's probably about the same age as Indiana Jones, and people went wild for that. So for me, I mean, I got to tell you, me and Colt, like, we're let down because they said, I think it was Rare, and then it was Lucasfilm were the first two things on screen, and we were like almost hugging each other. And then when it was Sea of Thieves, we were like, oh.
Yeah, I was the same. I was like, oh, what? Hello? Like, what is this? And then it was like, oh, it's okay. Yeah, cool.
I thought it was going to be some sort of Star Wars thing, or maybe it's going to be like it could have been Everwild.
I thought it was going to be something Mando or like something like hinting towards that.
yeah.
That's what I thought.
I thought Mando as well or something. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that as well. But,
Yeah, we were almost out of our chairs. But here's the biggest. So I was disappointed in Hellblade's lack of combat, and I really think they need to show that. Someone in the chat said, people forget that they've made. I can't remember the name of the games that you guys saw. That's right. They're Heavenly Sword, Devil May Cry. Honestly, look, they had that. They've done combat. They've done it well. That's 110% true. They have a budget now. They're really using it. If you go and look at the dev diaries, I recommend you do. They have done a lot around the combat, and they've actually shown a little bit of the combat within those dev diaries, but nothing huge. And we definitely need to. But my biggest disappointment of the whole show was Avowed. I was like, what is this? This is not what you showed us. This does not look like what you showed us. Yeah, it was CGI, but I was sort of expecting. Now, you're also talking about a show that showed Fable with that in-engine gameplay. Star Wars Outlaws, I think, even looked better. You're talking about Starfield, which looked amazing. And then we've got Avowed. I've gone back to make sure, and anyone in the chat that was like, you were setting this up to bitch about Avowed, yeah, I was. But it's my show, I can do whatever I want. But like, if you go back and look, it just does not look anything like we were told. Jez Corden did say, another fantastic dude, I got a chance to sit down and talk with him as well. He did sort of hint earlier in the year, but it doesn't look like what you think it looks like, and he wasn't wrong. I was a bit disappointed. It's not my cup of tea, right? So Avowed isn't my sort of thing. I don't like that sort of first person, RPG sort of thing. Never really have, which is why I wasn't interested in Starfield, but they got me turned around on that. They didn't turn me around on Avowed. I thought it was going to be darker, more visceral, and I just didn't get that. And I was pretty disappointed. It's going to be in Game Pass, and I'll check it out. But to me, it was the meh of the show, and I don't think that Avowed should have been the meh of the show. I think it should have been of the first parties. Pete,
I agree, mate. I agree. I thought Avowed showed up really, really bad, and I was so looking forward to Obsidian's next game, their next big thing. Just like InXile showed up with Clockwork Revolution, I was expecting similar things from Obsidian, and we know their pedigree. We know how good they are, and they finally had money behind them, and I was expecting, a big RPG open world like Skyrim, and they've basically said that don't expect Skyrim, don't expect it to be as big as that. It's more in scope like Outer Worlds. Yeah, and the art style just left a lot to be desired. I didn't like the colorful nature of it. I was hoping it was going to be more dark, more gritty, and if you play Pillars of Eternity, it is a darker universe. That narrative is a lot darker, and for some reason, they've chosen to go with a part of the world that is very bright, and, it's an unknown part of the world, so I can understand why they're going to it from that perspective. Just the art style just didn't work for me. I'm still not a fan, like you, Riskit, of the first-person combat. It remains to be seen if it plays well. Yeah, it was also a disappointment to me, mate.
Yeah,
well, I gotta say, you guys are smoking some of that bad stuff, and I desire for you to put that down. There is no way that you saw this game and was like, Riskit, and you particularly, you were on my chat the other day talking about it looked like a 360 game. No.
No, I didn't. No.
No, come on. That didn't look like a 360 game, brother. That game looked fine. I think a lot of people had a misconception, again, because of the first time we saw it with CGI, and said, okay, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be dark. It's going to be gritty. And then when we got this, and it's like more colorful than they thought it would be, this is bad. No, it's not. I disagree with you. And then it's more than just the colorful visuals. You have to compact everything else with it. Things we know about Avowed, for instance, we know it's going to be first combat focused heavy, first person combat focused heavy, sword, shields, magical spells, ability to dual wield. We saw the pistols being dual wielded. And Obsidian has a strength in building these stories and these characters. All of that is going to shine through. It's Obsidian. I have to say this, and I don't want it to sound dismissive, but it's Obsidian.
Yeah, but
You
the
can
best story
expect even
Obsidian have told is Fallout New Vegas, and that is so good because it is so dark and so gritty.
yeah, but that's an opinion, right? That's an opinion. That's subjective. It's not necessarily because of that, but because they're great storytellers.
Well,
Because they're going
all
to give
these
you great
opinions are
character.
subjective. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying it's not a certain certified thing that that's why the thing to everybody, right?
Yeah.
And the thing here is that you have Obsidian who lays down great RPG experiences all the time. We played Outer Worlds. We know that's a great game. This to me was more in the vein of that. We got a little bit more detail and we found out that it's going to be hub world kind of things, the open world instead of straight open world. It's going to be kind of hub world situated. To me, it seems like the fantasy world aspect of or alternative of Outer Worlds. And to me, that's a good thing. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like, I think you all probably expected more true to life looking visuals, and not seeing that probably disappointed you. And I can get that, but to say that it looked bad, I have to disagree greatly. They look at some steals of this game, like quality steals. The game is gorgeous, flat out gorgeous.
No, it's not.
I dare you to look at some steals, and I can post some to you right now in a DM, and you tell me this game doesn't look good.
Well, look, I can say to you
I'll
this.
tell you right now, this game doesn't look good.
I've got Pillars of it. I've got Pillars of Eternity up on the screen, right? And it's arguably a decent looking game. And I don't see the visuals as much different as to what we saw. And this is a 360 game.
You're saying, wait, time out. You're saying that what we saw in Avowed the other day was comparable to this?
Yeah, I think it's pretty comparable, yeah.
The only difference is I think that Avowed is a very long way out. And if you look at the difference between what Starfield showed initially and then what they showed the other day, the comparisons were night and day. And I think if we give Obsidian enough time to work on the graphics, and I'm sure they will, then they will end up standing out. I think it's made in Unreal Engine 5. We've seen what Unreal Engine 5 can do for other games, but my main problem was with the art style and how colourful it was, and I just don't think that fits with the Pillars of Eternity universe. And if you look at if you look at the gameplay on screen, it is a lot more darker, it's a lot more grittier, and that's what I was expecting.
So here's some more information from Benji Sales, who posted about it with images I just shared in the chat, topics list. You all can look at those images again and refresh yourself, Riskit, because if you thought that game looked like that, I don't know what to tell you. Some returning characters from Pillars game. I've never played any of the Pillars. Have any of you all played any of the Pillars games?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
So it has some returning characters from that, set in that universe, obviously, as we know. You have companion characters, a world in a series of interconnected zones. Size is similar in scope to the Outer Worlds, and I did hear the lady speak on that during that direct. Wide range of combat options and builds. Listen, I'm going to say it again. I think that you all are downplaying those visuals way too much. Honestly, I really do. I'm not saying it's a shield for this game. I'm really not. I don't think it stunned me with visuals like, oh wow, look at that. No, it didn't. Right, and it is Unreal Engine. I did expect it to be a bit more wow worthy. I will acknowledge that, but to say it looked like a 360 game is just ridiculous. I'm sorry, I cannot agree there. The game looks like a current gen game. It just doesn't look. It looks more stylized, which I think is probably what's causing that issue in what we're thinking personally. But I think it's a beautiful game, regardless of that. And I think, more than that, I know it's going to be a good game. And I think that's what it really comes down to at the end of the day. Is it going to be visuals over gameplay for us, or gameplay over visuals? And I think you all are kind of wavering there a little bit.
I think it'll be a good game because it's Obsidian, and there's going to be those moral decisions that they generally have in their games, and there's going to be companions, and there's most likely going to be romance options, unlike Outer Worlds 2. Although I did think that they wanted to have romance in Outer Worlds 2, they just had to cut it back because of the scale of the game and the funding of the game. That's why they got rid of boss fights as well. If you look, I will keep harping on this point, if you look at the Pillars of Eternity universe, it is a much more akin to The Witcher, with that moral ambiguity, with those hard moral decisions that you have to make, that dark fantasy setting, and this just did not remind me of that. It reminded me more of a Fable-esque game, which is more whimsical in nature, and I have a big problem with that.
Yeah, look, I have
guess,
to agree.
like
And
I
look,
said, I get it from your guys' perspective. If maybe you expected that, that's what I'm saying. Like if you expected that, sorry, Risk, but I'm just saying, like if you expected that, I can see why you would be disappointed. That's what I say.
yeah, and I think again, you can sort of look to the Microsoft's marketing, but I mean, I'm looking at these screenshots, and there's nothing here telling me, okay, maybe I'm being a bit harsh with the 360 game, but it's not at all pushing visuals in any way, shape, or form. And I expect it from a first-party studio. I now expect that, and I don't think that that's an unreal expectation. Little jibe, but
get it.
Yeah,
get that.
a little jibe, but unreal. But like, look. Even when you look at the texturing on, for instance, this screenshot, which is the lizard. Someone subscribed. Welcome to the channel. When you look at this screenshot that's up on screen now, it's not fully realized. It's not fully textured. It looks a little bit sort of blurry, man. It's not and we've got time. This is the thing. I completely understand that we have time, but again, I'll go back to Pete as well and say the art direction isn't what we saw in the initial CGI reveal, which I would call a logo reveal, right? It was a tiny bit, but they gave us
the other image. Risk. Switch the other image to the right of that.
They gave us a sort of a darkness, a sort of a, look, the effects look nice. And there's no doubt there, but I just don't think it's up to par. I think that there needs to be like a level of not fidelity. It could be in 1440p, it could be in 1080p, but there just needs to be a level of detail I'm not seeing here. And I was a little bit disappointed. And now listen, we have a couple of super chats that are relevant to this, so I'll definitely just quickly want to go to them. Because Drawn TJ said with the $2 super chat, thank you, Drawn. He said, hi guys, everyone, please hit the like button. And also then Drawn TJ with appreciate that, Drawn. Please guys do hit the like button, subscribe if you are new here. Someone just did. It's amazing. Thank you very much. That little achievement sound pops up, which is cool. Drawn TJ with the $5 super chat. He says, Avowed look good. I don't know why people cap and say it doesn't look good. Maybe you have shit taste in games and need to get your eyes checked. Yeah, well, look, I'm not capping because it's pretty damaging to when it comes to how a lot of the Xbox community can be. Could actually be quite damaging to my channel, my Twitter, and if I gave a shit about any of that sort of stuff and decided I would just not tell the truth so that I could get some likes and I could get some subscribes, then that's capping. But I ain't capping because this is probably not helping me that I think this. Right, yeah,
but I know that if you and Pete are saying it, I know you feel it. So that much I will acknowledge. I know you're not just saying it for nothing. Like you guys are not like that. I will say though, I disagree with you, and I think you're both wrong. That's what I'll say. But that's out of respect and love. There's no, you've got the right to disagree, and you feel how you feel, and I feel how I feel. There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely, but I also want a bit of a contingent on this. I want some of the Xbox community to also come out and say this. That, hey, we want. A little bit better in the graphics department. We're a little bit better in the, when you show us something and it's in this sort of vein, it's got a darkness to it. That's the game we want to see. And
that's what we expected from Obsidian, isn't it, Riskit? Like when we heard that they were building out their team, that they had all this money behind them, similar or akin to what In Exile did. And that's also part of the disappointment for me because I had my expectations so high that Obsidian were finally going to get to make the game that they've always wanted to make.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a little bit of sorry, go on, mate.
No, you
so
go
a little
ahead.
bit of context just quickly. Like I think if it is a big departure, from an art style direction from the original CGI trailer, but that was just that. It was a CGI trailer, and I was super hyped for the direction they were going with, and it did tend to sort of allude to a tiny little bit of gameplay with the hand gestures and stuff at the end in the cave, and that sent everybody's hype into overdrive. And what they showed at the showcase, it was completely different looking from a fidelity standpoint and also from an art direction standpoint. So it's natural that the people who were super hyped for what they showed in the CGI trailer were going to be a little bit disappointed. I knew that. I think I even said it at the time. I liked the way Avowed looked, but I knew that a lot of people would have been complaining about it. The other reason why I wasn't super shocked about the way it does look is because I've been listening to Jez Corden for a good 18 months now saying that if you think this is going to be some kind of thing that looked like that CGI trailer, it's not. It's super colorful like the Outer Worlds. He'd seen gameplay running in the pre-alpha footage. And he also released that screenshot that anyone can go and have a look now. He leaked a screenshot of what looks to be showing an outdoor open world kind of environment. And now it's the one with the two hands and all the forest in the background. Now, that's where I could see a bit of disappointment coming from this particular image, because this shows what would look like Skyrim. This must have been before they had that rumored direction change, and it looks like it's on a bigger scope than what the Avowed gameplay showed at the showcase. It's also much less colorful and much more grounded in reality. So I can see that if people watched that CGI trailer, then looked at this leaked screenshot from Jez Corden, that they would have been disappointed in what they seen. That said, for me, I still liked I liked it. I liked how it looked, I'm having a little bit of faith in Obsidian now, because they're just to me, they're just an S tier developer, you know?
Yeah, look, they are an S tier developer, and I'm definitely not saying that. We've got a couple of super chats that sort of relate to it, so we'll jump to those in a minute. But Cutie, we haven't sort of heard you on Avowed. Like, was it something that you were interested in, and what did you think of the showing of it? Like, I'm sort of curious as to your view.
I think it was. Look, I think people sort of made it out to be a bigger part of the showcase than it actually was. Honestly, I was just grateful to see something from it. I think it's going to eventually be good. And yeah, I think people hyped it up probably a little bit too much, and I think that's the reason why people might be feeling a little bit disenchanted by it all. But I think just being there was a really important thing. You know, Xbox showing that we have got this stuff in the background. It's cooking. It's coming. You're going to get it. It's going to be great. So I think that really leans into that narrative that I think they're trying to create around Xbox.
Yeah, absolutely. And your mic is 20% louder. Like literal, I think you actually nailed the amount of that I've got you a little bit. Yep, literally 20% louder.
Apologies. No, I haven't changed anything.
No, it's not you. That's me. That's good ear. A good ear calorie. You nailed it. Like literally 20%. That's crazy. But look, shout out to Raiden Blade, who came with a £5 super chat. He said, "Riskit, you got it all wrong." No, I don't. He said, "Think of the world dark light. The dark part is coming. Calm down. You're putting too much negativity on Avowed. Wait for more info." Yeah, I just got to be honest, man. I do. Like, I can't help it. It's just in me to give my honest take and not hold back. And I mean, I even spoke to Phil Spencer about Redfall, dude, and I trust me, I didn't hold back. Raiden Blade.
Is he like, "Yeah, man, I know, man"?
No, he's a good guy. He's a great guy. It was a great conversation, actually.
Was he like security? Like, after that?
I did sniff the back of his neck, but he didn't know.
I bet he smells fantastic.
Mission accomplished.
Raiden Blade with the £2. I agree with this, Raiden Blade. This is Raiden Blade with the £2 super chat. Says, get another subscriber. Dark Dreamer, thank you for joining the channel. Really appreciate it. He says, "Let him cook and just give us a great showcase." Yeah, look, agreed, man. They gave us a great showcase, and we do need to let him cook. That game, I don't think is like. I think it's back end of 2024, and I think it's probably going to look a little bit better. And this is all about encouraging them to give me better, because I wasn't super happy with it. I don't think it'll be a bad game. I think Obsidian's a great studio. They are an S tier developer. I agree with you there, Garuda and Umbra. Absolutely, the gameplay is king. But I think they can do a little bit better. I'm going to tell them that because they listen.
I hear you. Look, so I'm looking at. I typed up Pillars of Eternity. I'm looking on Google.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, outside of kind of darker settings, like it's like nighttime or whatever, the colors and stuff that's popping here look somewhat familiar to what we saw here in that trailer to me. I don't know if you can Google it and pull it up and want to look at it, but I don't think it's that far inconsistent outside of it being perspective difference. Like, if you look at it, you'll see what I mean.
Yeah. No, I had it on screen playing earlier on. So yeah, I mean,
that was like part one. I think you have to look at the remastered. You'll see what I'm talking about. They have it like, I don't know. I'd have to show you guys, but
that was the remastered. That was what I had up. Yeah, the colors are there. The colors are definitely there. Like, they have those colors, but it's just really bright and vibrant, and that's more an Outer Worlds thing. And maybe that's what they're doing.
I agree, Riskit. That's exactly what they've done. They've looked at the success of Outer Worlds and they've looked at the lighter tone, and I think that they've gone in that direction. And I think, Garuda, you pointed it out because we did hear that this game had changed tone and direction, and I think that that's exactly what they've done. And I think it does a disservice to the Pillars universe because, like, I will harp on it again, the Pillars universe is a dark, gritty setting. It is more akin to The Witcher.
Donovan Leffert said, he said, turn your TV saturation down. Yeah, we probably do that, eh? We crank up.
Yeah.
Okay.
See,
I put the leaked image in the
Joanna
in the
Dark
chat.
said it. He said, look at Pillars 2, and that is more aligned with Avowed. I agree. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Exactly. It looks very similar to me to Pillars 2 that I'm looking at right here. There's must
Look,
be
you guys all want change and development and growth and all that kind of stuff. Some games are not going to look exactly the same as previous ones.
That's true. I think this
No,
this
but they
image
should
that I
stay
just
true to
uploaded,
their law.
this image here, this is the leaked screenshot.
Tell that
I
to
think this
Halo,
is before the
Pete.
direction change.
Tell that to Halo.
Sorry, Garuda, you were saying, Garuda?
Sorry, no. I didn't want to
Sorry.
talk over anyone. No, that's fine. I just put the image up here in our chat about the that was the leaked image that Jess Corden put out. I think that was before the direction change, and you see a lot of people have looked at this image, and you guys listening will be able to easily look this up. Just type in, Avowed leaked screenshot, and you'll see he's got the two hand gestures going. It's got a really sort of a grounded in reality forest behind it, maybe a little castle. It looks like Skyrim, right? That was before the rumored direction change. This was a long time ago. But this is where the disappointment's coming from. A lot of it, that first CGI trailer and this image, which looks very, very mature, very open world, very on a larger scale. And you can tell that they've changed direction, they've changed tone, and then that's what we've seen at the showcase.
My
So that's where a lot of this comes from.
My apologies for not remembering the name of the city or that they've used or the part of the world that they've used. But what they've actually done with Avowed is they've chosen a part of the Pillars universe that is very different to the rest of the world. So the rest of the world setting is trees and all that kind of stuff. But this is a very unknown part. It's never been explored part of the Pillars universe. And they have chosen it because of the diversity of the biomes. So I can understand why they've done it. But it just looks too colourful and flashy to me.
Umbra?
I think it looks fine, but I'll say I'm looking at that image, Garuda, and we actually don't have enough by there to say there was some change. That right there looks consistent with the.
That's true because we just might not have seen these biomes.
And it's a dulled image too, by the way. So we don't know how colorful it is compared to Yeah, so I get you, but we can't quite tell.
No, you can't. But I think some of the expectation on what Avowed was going to look like also came from this image because it looks a lot more. Because they even said this is going to be more of a hub world game, and that image there alludes to this being. It just looks like it has that grandeur and that scope that you would expect.
Skyrim feel to it.
Okay, so Avowed is set in a fantasy world of Eora, a far northern continent and island of the Living Lands. Living Lands is an undiscovered frontier home to bustling port towns, rolling hills, and a valley adorned with weird and fantastical plant life. And I think that's why they've chosen it, because then they can, have all these weird and wonderful things. And I get that. I don't get why they chose that part of the world. I get that it's never been explored before. Maybe they just wanted more biome diversity. Yeah, look, and I don't want to dump on Avowed for too long, and I think we've sort of spent enough sort of time on it. I am going to move forward, but yeah, duly noted, Umbra. I completely understand that you do like it, and there's a lot of people out there that do, but I think it's just I don't think it's up to the level that I expect. Pete, I completely agree with where you're coming from, and everyone who does like it, and that's absolutely fine. I don't expect anything or want anything from anyone other than their honest opinion. As long as that's what you're given, then I am all for it. I'll jump on the next. Before I do, please hit the like button, share us out, subscribe if you are new here. We appreciate every single one of you guys in chat. You're amazing, coming to support us every week. And I do apologize for my voice. It sounds really scratchy because I was screaming a lot all week. Udanic Quasada with a $5 super chat. He said it was nice to see Riskit stateside vicariously through Twitter. Hope it was everything you dreamed of and that everyone was nice to you. Great panel. Thank you, Udani. Yeah, look, everyone was. And it's something I would recommend to absolutely everyone in chat, everyone on the panel.
and you know, and Garuda as well. Everyone, you know, who's guessed it. Anyone I've ever met in the Xbox community, if you don't get into FanFest, that is only a small. I mean, it's the main attraction, but it's still only a small part. Like I talked to Todd Howard. I spoke to Pete Hines. I sat down at dinner with Jason Ronald. Like I got to ask him, "Is there a pro coming?" Like I can't give any answers to some of the things that I heard, but what I can tell you is
I'll give you the answer. It's not coming.
yeah, it is an amazing experience to just go and meet everyone, meeting Colt. I met Skill Up. I picked him up off the ground and bear hugged him. I almost broke his spine.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like I had an absolute ball. So I really appreciate everyone who sort of welcomed me in, and I definitely recommend that everyone should just get down there. We should all get together, have 100 lunches and 100 dinners, because that's what we did. It was amazing. Now, look, I do want to move into something that a lot of people, and we were all wrong. I think all of us sort of agreed on this, but in a very specific way. So there was a lot of third-party stuff there, which was fantastic to see. I mean, we've got Capcom's new game coming. I can't pronounce the initial bit, but it was Goddess of the. I can't remember
Path of the Goddess.
Path of the Goddess. That's the one. I mean, that's a new IP. Looked really colorful. Looked really amazing. Graphically, it looked good. It was just.
By the way, it's Kunitsugami.
Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess. You know, there's a lot of other third-party multiplayer games that were there as well. I mean, we had Cyberpunk was there. There was a game called Dungeons of Hinterberg, and I was pretty interested in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? The 33 Immortals. That looked amazing. Colt got a chance to get hands-on. Said he really liked it. Said it sort of felt like punty. Yeah, I'm not going to answer that. But he said it felt amazing and it was great to play. We saw Phil play it. He wasn't holding the controller upside down, so that was definitely a plus. Something that Jim Ryan would do. Excuse me. So there was just so many good third parties. But what wasn't there? And we've heard about one of them this morning. Just sort of came out, or morning my time, afternoon if you're in America. Is that Flintlock wasn't there, and we've heard that's now been delayed to 2024, which is a real shame. But I think it's a good thing because that game has definitely got something special. And replaced. And I think we sort of expected to see those, coming, but we didn't see them. But what was amazing.
Yeah,
what's the amount of third parties we
had? It's a Ukrainian developer, so I don't think we're going to see Replaced for a while, unfortunately.
Yeah, right. Yeah, are they Ukrainian? I wasn't sure whether they were Russian or Ukrainian.
Yeah, I got told that by actually someone in our awesome chat a couple of weeks ago when I mentioned it.
Cool. Well, I mean, yeah, a bit disappointing not to see those. We also didn't see Stalker. But what we did see was just a massive lineup of third-party games, which is great to hear. Great to see. And for me, my standout, and I'm pretty sure I was hoping that I immediately thought of Pete when I saw 33 Immortals because he loves co-op, and I imagine co-oping with 33 other people is like up his alley.
How good was it to see Phil Spencer on the extended showcase doing an interview with the developer, playing a game and just chilling out? He's just like one of us. He's just a gamer. And I loved how the 33 Immortals developers said that they don't actually have 33 people in their team, so they couldn't actually play the game, which was, like with the full roster because there just wasn't enough people in their development team. I just love that.
Yeah, I mean, initially, actually what sort of happened there is, I think it's the technology team, that's Sarah Bond's sort of side of things. Apparently they've assisted, or they have assisted with the game, and they're sort of upping the members of the team. And I think they're like 70 at this point. So they sort of have grown. But yeah, initially they couldn't even play their own game in full and fully test it, which is crazy cool. So just
try testing it out with a big group on Discord or something like that of all of our buddies and seeing how we fare with it. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I can't wait.
The great thing is we're always playing Among Us when there's massive parties, and I want to try something different, and I think that this game is going to be perfect for that.
Yeah, this game didn't wow me, but for the aspect of us all playing together like that, I think it'll be fun for sure. I'll say too, one of the games that wowed me as far as third party was Still Wakes the Deep. The game that's like creepy looking, that you like they crouching around in this
I've seen a number of people sort of keen on that one. Yeah
Is that the oil rig one? I thought the oil rig one looked really good.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely.
Yeah, well, I didn't.
And it's coming to Game Pass day one next year, by the way. So
I didn't see that one.
It's the one that like this person, a woman or a man, I'm not sure. They're crouching around and walking like
Oh, the scary one.
shimming along.
Yeah, you're on an oil rig. Yeah, horror.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's I do remember that one. Yeah, that was sort of cool. So that was your standout. Cutie, what was your third-party standout that you were super excited for?
Oh, Cyberpunk.
Oh wow, yeah.
I haven't really gotten into Cyberpunk simply because of all the issues that they had. I have tried to play it, but I think this is going to be the push that's going to really bring me into that world. I'm actually really excited about it. Actually, Keanu did a good job. He was, I think it's kind of funny, like seeing him compared to the Dead by Daylight one, and I just it was cool seeing him up there though. He wasn't actually there though, right, Riskit? It was just like,
I can't say.
Did you see him?
No, he wasn't there. He wasn't there. He was around. But he wasn't like he didn't come with us. He was definitely in LA. And where they did that sort of side showcase. But no, he wasn't around when everyone was around. He would have got mobbed because he's breathtaking. Yeah, look. So for me, that sort of Path of the Goddess was stand out because initially I was like, I don't know about this, and then it sort of kicked off, and I was like, oh, this looks pretty good. Umbra, so we got your did we get your standout? We did. We got you the thing. So Garuda,
I think that's one. I will say for Cyberpunk, I agree that it's going to be pretty good, but the problem is, much like Calorie pointed out, is it's right in that window of Starfield. So that's the problem.
I know, but like even like I've been going at Diablo like pretty hard, like, and same when Hogwarts Legacy came out, I was like playing that for ages, and then like you need a game to take a break sometimes. So I think probably Cyberpunk's going to be that game for me.
Yeah, and look, I did speak to the developers of Cyberpunk, and they are doing and Skill Up spoke to him as well. Someone pointed out to me, I'm like, well, I didn't know that he put that information out there, but they're doing a massive update on the police, on the NPCs, the AI, as well as a lot of other little updates just to sort of bring the world more to life. So more in line with what they promised when they released.
I think that condensed world and the not having to build out a full city is really going to help them build out those aspects that they really wanted to have in the full game. So much more interconnected world, like you hit on, Riskit, with the way the police are going to be a lot more nuanced when they actually come and attack you. And I think this is really going to bring Cyberpunk to the forefront. I think it's the game that should have made originally. But although I do love the game, it was lacking in a lot of those, those things. So I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, it's coming in September. I think it's the 26th of September, and that's 20 days after Starfield. And I dare say everyone's still going to be playing Starfield.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we do sort of need to move to the next topic, but just quickly, Netflix, thanks for subscribing. Really appreciate it. I don't know if that's the real Netflix, but if it is, shout out to you guys. Did we get your standout, Pete? I'm pretty sure it's Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah. My standouts were Star Wars Outlaws and Clockwork Revolution. No.
I mean for third party. So you third party.
For third party. Then Star Wars. Yeah, 100% Star Wars.
Yeah, for me too, and it was like it's got that cover sheet of DNA. It also got a little bit of the Division DNA in it, if you look at it, and there's sort of a mix. But I am concerned, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But before we do, please hit the like button, share us out, subscribe if you are new here and you like what we're doing. Calorie, it was you. Sorry, you thought you were subscribed. Well, absolutely do subscribe. Really appreciate all you guys who support us every week. I'm going to jump to the Ubisoft Forward, come back to the Summer Games Fest. Just talking about Star Wars Outlaws. I'm a little bit concerned when I looked at when I was looking at Assassin's Creed, guys, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and a lot of people are a bit worried about the gameplay, and I'm not. I think they've got the DNA of what the old Assassin's Creeds were, and I've said for I think a year before they actually announced this, I really hope that they do an old school Assassin's Creed. And that they do they don't get rid of the new one that they've done with the RPG elements. I think those two games can exist in the world because they're very different and can be different parts of the universe. I don't think that's a bad thing. So it's great that they've done it, but it was dropping frames like nobody's business. It was bad. I was like, this is bad. And when you look at Star Wars Outlaws, that was also dropping just as much frames. And I can be a little bit of a frame whore occasionally. And so I do notice those things, and it really was dropping frames hard. I'm not overly concerned for Star Wars Outlaws. That's, next year. Like, they got time. But Mirage, super excited for the gameplay. I thought it looked amazing, but I'm just a bit worried about the performance. And I think this is going to be something that we're dealing with, sort of going into the future with third-party studios that don't seem to be nailing their performance. Garuda, did you get a chance to check out the Ubisoft Forward? I mean, I think as a whole, a pretty disappointing showing, but there was a couple of great games there, and the ones that were there that were great weren't really performing that well.
Yeah, look, I didn't watch the whole show, but I will preface this by saying that I watch the Ubisoft shows with a lot of skepticism. I mean, they're known for being the biggest bullshotters that you've ever seen. So I'm very dicey on what I do believe is gameplay and what's not. However, they did show quite a lot of what I think is gameplay at this show, and Star Wars looks really good. Like, it doesn't really look like an Ubisoft game to me. I'm not going to lie. I was surprised when it was an open world single player, big budget looking sort of affair. It looks fantastic to me, and I like Star Wars as well. It looks great, but I don't want to open a can of worms here, but I'm with you more and more. And this goes for Assassin's Creed as well, which does look pretty good. I like how they've streamlined it back to the original vision and the smaller but more probably dense scope. But more and more, I'm worried about the performance of these games that are pushing the boundaries a little bit. I think that with all the extra power on tap that the new systems and the new specs have in store for these developers, I think they're using it to push the limits a little bit more of other things, and performance is going to take a little bit more of a back seat again, and we're going to see, unfortunately, the return of some pretty average performing games again moving forward. So that, to me, it's bittersweet. The games looked good. That Star Wars one, man, I'm there for that. So yeah, performance wise though, look, I know they're a little bit out, but I need to see it to believe it if they're going to be running nice and smooth, especially with some of the games that are pushing the limits, like I said. So yeah, and again, I take everything Ubisoft shows pre-release with a grain of salt, because they're just known for running it on 10 4090s joined together, and you get the game and it's like, what is this? So yeah, we'll wait and see with some of Ubisoft stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, look, and I think you sort of do have to be like that these days, very skeptical. And one person that isn't very skeptical all the time is Doom Cutie, and I do hold that skepticism. Also got excited easily. But Cutie, what do you think of the showing from Ubisoft? I was personally really hopeful for Mirage, really excited for Star Wars, but was there anything else, or were those two games your sort of standout for Ubisoft's Forward?
I think they were the standouts, and I think, fair enough. I think they're big games, and I think they've got large fan bases behind them, and I think they did do them justice in what they showed. I am with Garuda in the sense, and a lot of you, I do worry about how it's going to perform when it releases. There's definitely something that, obviously I'm just going to have to wait until it comes out. But I will say, like Outlaws, I can now play a game as not only a female protagonist, but not a Jedi. So that is really exciting. So even if the gameplay is not like 100% perfect, I'm probably going to be playing it anyway. So, like, obviously not at like Starfield level, like super duper engrossed, but I think it's definitely an interesting and exciting way forward for that franchise. Mirage looks great. I don't know what people are. I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think, they're returning to a lot of the roots that the Assassin's Creed series is really well known for and loved for. And I'm hopeful. I'm not the only, look, I understand where you're coming from, Riskit. You're very skeptical, and that's totally fine. But we're eating, guys. We are eating. We're feasting in gaming. Okay, we're having a great time. And I think I'm just grateful to be in this space during this time, because it is so exciting.
Yeah, look, I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical based on
we're eating. This is me eating right here, Riskit.
Yeah, we are eating.
You're interrupting my feast, sir.
I'm skeptical based on what they showed me. So it's not based on just me being skeptical because it is Ubisoft. But I'm skeptical based on the frames per second. And like, I mean, you would. I'm a bit of a frame whore, so I would say that I noticed those things, but I don't think it was like not noticeable. I think it was horrifically badly noticeable that it would drop frames in going in and out of the cutscenes as it did in the gameplay. So we're talking October, I believe, for that. That needs to be like rectified before, because I am tired of games releasing half finished. And we're paying a premium for these games now. We're paying, the $70 price tag. I expect that game to be fully fleshed out and technically not flawless. You're never going to get that, but technically acceptable. I mean, acceptable, I think we're at a point now in gaming where we have to ask for acceptable, and that's bad in of itself. But the game did look amazing. It definitely did. I'm really excited for the game. Gameplay looked great. I'm down with the whole thing. I think it looked nice as well. Some people were saying to me, they didn't quite like the way it looked, or it didn't hit the mark. But I sort of think it did. But again, each their own.
Which one? Assassin's Creed, you mean?
Mirage.
Oh, Mirage, yeah. I think it doesn't look like it should, in a way that, just quickly, Valhalla, Origins, and what was the other one where they were in Odyssey. They were really stunning games, but on a match. Yeah, but I just want to explain why
I disagree too.
Quickly. Just why I think that quickly, just to give you a bit of logic behind where I've come to that conclusion. Those games are on a massive scale to the point they're too big, right? But they look better than Mirage. Even though Mirage is a lot smaller and more condensed, you would think they'd be able to turn things up a little bit. That was just my observation, that's all.
Garuda, when we watched the trailer, I can understand where you came to that conclusion, but when they showed the gameplay and the trailer were two different things.
Yeah.
I think they made the trailer a hell of a lot earlier. When they showed the gameplay, I think that the visuals were actually there. Yes, I agree, Riskit, the frames were dropping, and it's a real worry. The game is very close to being released, and you're right, it's coming out in October, so that's definitely something to keep an eye on. And Ubisoft are known for this. They did the same thing with Valhalla, and they didn't actually put a patch through till a lot later. And you're right, we're sick of it. The whole community is sick of it. We're sick of games just releasing broken and then thinking that they can just release a patch later and fix it. Well, that's just not the way it should be. And I think it's up to all of us as a whole gaming community to say this is unacceptable and we're not going to take it anymore. And whether that be not pre-ordering, not actually buying something till, the reviews come out. And I get the developers are trying to do something about it by giving us all this early access. Buy the game, you get it 5 days early, 4 days early, whatever, it is, and FOMO kicks in and people want to play it. But look at something like Diablo 4. The performance on that game in day one was spectacular, and that's what we should be. Yeah, that's what we should be asking for. But I love how Assassin's Creed Mirage looked like in gameplay terms. It's going back to those Assassin's Creed roots, and I loved Origins and Odyssey, and I hope they do both styles. But I love that stealth mechanic is back.
Yeah, I like that too, Pete.
Yeah, that fighting is your last resort. You are an assassin. You are meant to be in the shadows. You're not meant to be in the middle of a big battle, a big war, fighting hand in hand. That's not what assassins do. Star Wars obviously was a massive standout. I'm not too worried about the frames. I actually don't think the game looked that good either. I think that it's a long way out in terms of fidelity.
Just to jump in there as well, I think that also that might have, and I don't know if you guys noticed this because I noticed it heavily. This game was shown at their entire Ubisoft Direct was shown at 720p. So if you didn't go back and watch it again, then
yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
if you didn't go back and watch it again, it probably would have looked blurry. This is not the game dropping frames, by the way. This is my internet dropping frames.
So what really
false information.
What really looked bad to me was Avatar's Frontiers of Pandora.
I didn't like it either.
No, that was.
Game.
It sounded like they spent more money on the people in the voice acting and trying to like talk it up into something that it didn't really look like. I was so underwhelmed by that.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, I
looking
didn't
forward.
like
And
it.
the Avatar game could be so good, fighting
It
in
could
Na'vi,
be.
fighting
It could be
against mechs,
amazing. Yeah.
the flying creatures. Just that whole world is so beautiful and visually stunning. And it was a massive disappointment to
Me
me.
too.
I was expecting a hell of a lot more. Okay, I'll end on a positive. I loved how Prince of Persia looked.
Yes.
And I get that it's not Sands of Time, but I love those 2D side-scrolling
Loved
platformers,
it.
and this
Loved
one
it.
has everything, from the time reversal to the combat. Just looks sensational. Can't wait to play that game.
Yeah, that looked incredible, dude. I like those kind of games as well. And I know some people were a little bit down on it visually or whatever, but nah, man, like the combat it was fluid. Now that was a game that looked like it performed. It was beautiful. The mechanics looked incredible. It looked like there was a bit of diversity in the way you could sort of, with your abilities and stuff like that. I really loved it, man. I thought that was excellent.
Yeah, so it's a Metroidvania. That's what I liked about it. And Umbra,
Oh,
I did want to
yeah.
hit you up about Prince of Persia and see if you would. It's very much like Ori. So you gain abilities and you can come back in the world and then access other areas. And the combat was looked amazing. I wanted the remake. I think everyone did, but I just definitely was not mad at this. I thought this was awesome. Prince of Persia looked amazing. But what were your thoughts about the Ubisoft Forward? Did you? I mean, I know that was shown at the Summer Games Fest, but they deep dived a little bit more, and man, it didn't look great. I was pretty stoked with it, to be honest.
Well, Star Wars Outlaws, I tweeted about that after I finished watching it. I was blown away by that. I thought it looked really good outside of the frames issue you were talking about. I love that they captured the aesthetic of that time, even with her hairstyle. It looks like it's fit right there with the styling of hair. Like you look at Han Solo and you look at her hair, it's it's clearly they're calling on the 70s with that hairstyle. I saw somebody call it the feminist hairstyle. I was like, nah, that's not it. So, but yeah, that looks really, really good. I'm wondering, if it's going to be very Ubisoftish in an open world setting kind of thing, and they claim this being the first open world Star Wars game, which I disagree with. I think Jedi Survivor is fairly open world. I know that Lego Star Wars is pretty open too, by the way. So I don't know why they said that, but no, that looks really good. That was the standout, I would say. This game here actually was just blowing me away. Actually, I liked everything I saw with Prince of Persia right here. Looks damn good. I love Metroidvanias, and this looks like it'll be a great one. It's good to see them go back to the IPs like this and not abandon them. So I'm happy to see this getting some shine. And by the way, there were some people who were some racist guy like, oh, this is erasure of Persian people and all of that. This guy has Afrocentric, he's ghetto, et cetera, all the type of racial tropes.
Do they not know what Persian people look like? Dude.
Well, not even just that, but this guy isn't even in the Prince. This is a different person.
That's right.
So
How do
he
we
thought
even
it was
know
the
who he
Prince.
is and stuff like? Yeah.
Yeah, he thought it was the Prince, so he thought, oh, they're changing the Prince to a different race. That's what he thought, like an idiot. But this stood out for me. This is really dope looking. I'm definitely excited for this. It's probably my second, I would say, if I had to judge from the games shown, it would probably be my second most anticipated. It looked really, really good. I'm really excited to play this.
The prince has been captured, and these are outlaws that have been tasked with saving him. And people like that are just idiots, mate. You just
agree.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. With Mirage, I do agree with you, Garuda. I thought that it looked very outdated, honestly, visually. Even if you go back and look at it in a higher setting, I thought that it just didn't look up to snuff compared to Odyssey and Valhalla. I thought it looked
and on a smaller scale, and it was like a little bit odd to me. I'm not saying it looked bad. I'm just saying
it's
it
not
didn't
bad
look
looking. Yeah,
no,
it just
didn't
doesn't
look as good as I thought. Yeah,
it doesn't look as sharp as those.
Hang on a
I
minute.
think
Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Avowed is good. Looks amazing. But Assassin's Creed Mirage.
That's a long way out, dude, though. I'm giving that a bit more of a benefit of a doubt. Avowed's a minimum of 18 months away. This game's coming out in 2 months or something, man.
Well, I don't have to give it that at all. There's two different
guys,
games. I think Mirage and Assassin's Creed have set a standard for what those games are going to look like. This
that's right. There's a precedent there. There's a status quo there. I mean, that's just where I'm not saying it looks bad. I'm just saying
it doesn't look bad. It just doesn't look as sharp as most recent entries, in my opinion.
That's right.
That's all I'm saying. I think it'll be a great game.
Do you think this doesn't look as sharp as the most recent entries?
Yeah, I don't.
No, it doesn't at all.
It doesn't.
Honestly. And that's just
Valhalla,
cutscenes,
for
by the
whatever
way,
you
so
want to
that's
say
not
about it, I don't
that's
like
not
it. But
gameplay. That's a
they look
cutscene.
stunning. They're stunning.
I actually
games.
think that Mirage is a smaller team, so I think that might,
Yep.
you know,
I
like
think you're right, Pete.
yeah, and I think that this is meant to be a smaller, more condensed story. I don't think this game is selling at full price either, so you have to take that
That is
into
true too.
consideration.
Oh yeah, okay, I
Um,
That
didn't
is
know
a
that.
plus. That's a
Yeah.
plus, by the way. It is like $40, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's
That's a plus, yeah.
$75 or $80 in Australia. I'm not sure
So
what
how-
that works out to be in
Wait
the
a second.
US.
How
but
is
this
that
isn't a fully
$40
fledged-
and then Prince of Persia's 50? What the freaking hell?
No, I don't know. But
So
that's just-
hang on a minute. You guys are saying that you don't think that this looks as good as Valhalla.
It
These
doesn't.
are cutscenes and in-game
Did you?
engine.
Did you? Yeah.
cutscenes
Did you
you're doing
guys?
This is
did,
not
did you
actual
guys
gameplay.
rewatch it in 4K? This is
I
my
did.
question.
No,
It
I
does not
didn't.
look.
I
It
didn't-
does
I
not.
didn't
I
do that.
did. I did. It does not look as impressive as you look at Odyssey. You look at Valhalla. Those look more impressive visually. They just do. They're more sharper and everything else.
I
It's
thought
not. This doesn't look bad. It just doesn't look as sharp. That's all we're saying. And I'm sure it's going to be great again. But going back, and those are two different games. I'm not going to do tit for tat on A and B. But what about this? It just doesn't look as sharp as those games.
it's a
in my opinion.
last gen game too, so we've got to take that into account. I'm pretty
But
sure. it's a
even
last-gen game.
even beyond that, I will agree with Pete too on loving that it going back to the stealth aspects and things like that. We saw that when we were watching. We was like, yeah, that looks dope. We saw him.
And they
throwing all
added
the,
that
like,
new
smoke
mechanic.
bombs.
Which
Yeah,
is
throwing-
a Splinter Cell mechanic where you shoot them, but he actually jumps towards them and assassinates them. I thought that was
Yeah, yeah.
excellent. Really,
Yeah,
really
same,
cool.
man.
all of that was dope, especially too. Like he had all these different like bombs and such. You could throw out like the color smoke bombs and things like that, or whatever it was. A lot
It
of that
looks
looked
like a
really
good
dope.
game. Looks
It
like it'll be a
does.
good game.
I'm sure it'll be great. So I'm not even worried about it. But
Me
it will
too.
be probably third for me outside of Star Wars, Prince of Persia, than that. I also agree with Pete on Pandora with the Avatar. That looked like trash. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
That did not land with me at all. It didn't look good. I saw some people like, I'm hyped to play it. And I think that love is coming because of the love of the movies. I don't think it's coming from what you saw, because that game did not look good at all.
I honestly thought I was hoping that'd be third person too, and I know a lot of other people did, and yeah, it wasn't. So
Yeah. It's just the thing. Also, Cyber Gunter, we can compare. There's nothing wrong with us comparing. This is why we talk and discuss games. I don't sit there and like, I'm not going to compare something to something. I don't want to be unfair. No, I'm going to discuss and compare. They're not downing it. We're just saying it doesn't look as sharp as those past games. It's not harming anybody for anybody to say that.
Yeah, look, I don't know, man.
I mean, that's a little bit subjective too. We're just saying that what we think our opinion is. I mean, to me, it looks sharper and on a much grander scale, and that's why I was a little bit curious about that. But it doesn't by any means look like a bad game. It's just an observation, really.
No, yeah, but I mean, I've got a comparison video up now between the two because I
Yeah, I've
am
seen
curious. I haven't really compared it. I didn't think it was that stark of a difference that I would notice that. I mean, I think it looks pretty good. But maybe
I
there
agree
is
with-
some slight difference. But yeah, I mean, or maybe slight difference in detail. Maybe they haven't fleshed out like the detail of the world quite as much. I don't know. I will look. I will definitely look at that because I'm not dismissing that that you guys think it looks a little bit less because I've heard it again from other people as well. And yeah, I don't know, man. I'll dive a bit deeper into having a look at this and seeing if it does.
Pull up a trailer. Pull up a
Smaller
trailer of
budget.
Odyssey or two of.
Yeah, so this is
what's the other
cutting.
one? Origin.
This is cutting between Valhalla and Mirage right now. This is what's on the screen.
Yeah. This is still Mirage right here, right?
No,
Yes.
that's
it is.
Valhalla, the one that you're looking at.
This is
Yeah.
Mirage
now
right
it's
here.
now it's a split
Yeah, there we
screen
go.
with the two of them.
Yeah, I mean it looks pretty similar. I don't know, man.
So the one to the right is which one?
Well, that you can't tell is the problem. Is
No,
Assassin's Creed.
I could tell. I want you to answer it. That's what I want you to do. That's
The
why I
left-hand
asked.
side one is Mirage.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Riskit knows
Is
it,
it?
and you can see it's sharper. But the thing is, I'm
But
trying to
also
point out
the
to him,
environment is different. Like that.
The one
this
on the
is
right looks heaps.
the one
better.
is sharper. It's still Mirage, by the way. That is just sharper because it's in a 4K. Nice try, Risk. But the thing I'm trying to point out to him is play what you call it? Play Odyssey. Show that like right really quick. Show Odyssey or Origins.
Valhalla.
I can't think of the name of these things.
No, it's both.
Some of those
I
might be
will
okay.
suss it out. I don't want to get too stuck on this and like
Yeah.
debate it for like a half an hour. But like I think it's pretty close. I think the one on the right looked a little bit better, and it won't display at 4K. It'll only display at 1080p. So what you're seeing is 1080p. But yeah, I mean, I think that Ubisoft are headed in the right direction, right? They've got some smaller IPs that are pretty cool. Bigger IPs and smaller games that are pretty cool. They can pump out. They've got Mirage, which is at a cheaper price. So you would expect it not to be like, I guess, like as sharp as I mean, there's definitely differences, and I'll check that out further.
Which team are they having work on this?
I agree, and I think the Ubisoft Forward was done really, really well, and there was a good mix of big IPs, new IPs, like Star Wars, like Avatar, and then going back to their roots with Prince of Persia and Assassin's Creed. I think this is the right direction for Ubisoft, and I think they need to be commended on it.
Yeah, they've won a bit of goodwill back with that show.
I didn't think the show was that great overall, honestly, but I do like the direction they're going, and I think.
And I'm not sure who's
keep
making
going that
Assassin's
direction.
Creed, bro. I know the big teams are working on that new Assassin's Creed where they're interconnecting the worlds. I'm not sure who worked on Mirage.
Yeah, Infinite. You're talking about Assassin's Creed Infinite.
That's right.
They stole the name from the show, actually, so I'll be calling them up. In a couple of months once they fully announce that, and having a chat to them about IPs, etc., and just respect, basically. Lack of respect. Now, look,
You didn't like
it is good
Ubisoft
to see them
Forward
kind of
with-
rebounding a
with
bit.
Star
like-
Wars, with Assassin's Creed, with Prince of Persia. I think the show was good for a
Yeah, I like
Ubisoft
it.
show.
I didn't think the show was good. I thought that some of the games they showed were good.
Yeah, I'd agree with
But-
that.
But yeah, because like you heard them talking, I think the guy even named the wrong game or something like that.
He
like,
did.
They named the
He did.
yeah.
That girl dancing in the start in green. That
Oh
shit was
Lord,
fire.
them dancing at the beginning, that was trash. And you know it was trash. You know that was trash. We were all laughing
my
at it.
eyes were on the girl in green, bro. I don't care about the rest of it.
Oh,
Yeah, look,
Pete.
look, the show, I think Skill Up said like the show felt like something from the early 2000s, and it really did. Like it really did. But some of the games that they put up were pretty decent. I was pretty impressed. And them taking and the direction that they're taking, I'm a little bit excited. I was worried about Ubisoft. We didn't see Splinter Cell. Now I'm not as worried about Splinter Cell as I was, because that is a big stress for me. Like, are they going to do that right? Now I got a little bit more faith, and we'll sort of see how that goes.
excited, man.
Yeah, so we'll see how that pans out, right? Because we don't want to get.
Ubisoft won a little bit of goodwill back from me for all their recent failings. If that's the direction they're heading in, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, and I think, look, even someone in the chat said X Defiant was looking okay, and I thought it looked pretty good too, man. Like, thought it was all right.
Yeah. Did you jump into the beta test?
I did, yeah.
You did, hey?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely played the beta test. Thought it was okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like fun, honestly. Like, and I think what they showed was pretty good. I think it's still got quite a way to go, because obviously we're, first-person shooters are very, intensive to, change the update them. But yeah, no, definitely. X Defiant looked good. But I think people are vibing with Ubisoft and saying like, oh, it's from the early 2000s. Like, I think they're really leaning into nostalgia a little bit. Like, is anyone else getting that?
Yeah, well, it's good. That's a good thing. And I think they're sort of bringing back.
What they need to do.
They're bringing back the stuff that the gamers are actually asking of them for, which people have, and they've sort of tried to take this direction that they think is going to make money. But if you actually give gamers what they want, that makes money. And J-Mac, it was you. Yes, it was J-Mac who said X Defiant was looking pretty good, and it was. Look, I don't want to sit too long on this, because we are coming up to 2 hours already. Hitman did say with the $5 super chat, you're an absolute legend. Thanks for the super chat, mate. He said after the Star Wars Outlaws gameplay, I was, wow, Xbox should buy Ubisoft. Yeah, no. Ubisoft is way too top heavy. And Calorie, Mac, thank you for the subscription. I really appreciate it, guys. If you are new here, hit the subscribe button. Hit that bell to know when we go live. And I want to jump into this, which is what the poll's about, and I haven't cleared it because I've been sitting there waiting to talk about this game. I want to track back. There's still a lot more to talk about. I mean, we had the Mortal Kombat. We've had, the FTC's filed an injunction against the ABK deal. Embracer Group is shuttering studios and cancelling games. None that have been announced, thank God. And Embracer Studios, if you don't know, is Focus. And they've been absolutely killing it lately. Like, Focus has been killing it. So I'm a little bit concerned there. Hopefully they haven't messed with their publishing arm inside of Embracer too much. But we've got to track back to the game. The game that we've got to track back to is Starfield. Because I will say this. So in our poll, it's I asked if Starfield was your standout. 87% of you guys, you definitely said it was. And it is Snowdrop Engine. That's the engine that's doing the Star Wars game, and I'm pretty happy with that. So Starfield, you guys might have, if you guys are a bit of long-time followers of the show, you would know that I've said many, many times that Starfield is not really the game for me, and I wasn't like super excited for it. Like, it was just, it's not really kind of my thing. I'll probably skip it. So like midway through that showing, right? It's a 45-minute showing. I'm like, my hype's building. I'm like, well, we've seen a lot of this, but it's looking nice, right? Looking nice. Me and Colt, we're debating whether it's 60. He's like, that gunplay is 30. I'm like, nah, man, that looks smooth. It's 60. It's 60. No, it's 30. He ended up being right. He's got a good eye for that sort of thing. I'll say that. But when they got to the ship-to-ship combat, right? And they started talking about you can target, and you can get a perk that you can target individual parts of the ship. And my head went immediately, oh shit, I wonder if you can take out their engines and board them. And then as I was thinking it, and you can board the ships, I was like, oh my God, this game is absolutely fucking amazing. Like, this is great. I am now super hyped. Definitely going to be getting Starfield. I've got the Starfield Constellation Edition. I've ordered that. I am like out of my chair, like losing it at the show. It was amazing. Starfield, I don't know, this bullshit online of Starfield didn't look that good. You are not a gamer. You are not a gamer if you didn't look at that game and find one part of it that you thought you could enjoy. And the ship-to-ship combat for me was like, hell yeah. I'm going to be flying around like a space pirate. I'm going to be boarding shit. I don't know if I'll collect sandwiches, but that thing looked like absolutely amazing. I'm super hyped for it. I can't believe we're getting it.
A bunch of exports.
I cannot believe that we're getting it like in the next couple of months. Like, it's a great year for gaming, great year for Xbox, and this showcase just got topped off by that game. And everything at the showcase.
Wait. What did it get?
Starfield.
Well, did the
Game's gonna be terrible because it's not on PlayStation.
You said it got topped off by what now? What did you say?
But Starfield.
Okay.
By this game. Everything. Yeah. What did you think I said?
No, I know what you said. It's just never, never mind.
Topped off must mean something else in America.
Yeah, it does.
What does it mean? I'm confused.
I don't think we need to explain.
We can't say that.
Yeah, when you top something off, it's like, oh, awesome! You've just added to the awesomeness of it. But anyway,
Yeah, no, that's true. You're technically correct.
Well, I don't know what you Americans think topped off means. That's not what I meant. But like, honestly, this game for me, absolutely hyped for it. It wasn't before. I even spoke to Todd Howard. I said, listen, Todd, I was not interested in your game, man. He was like, oh. I was like, yeah. Like I said, look, to be honest, I've never really been a big Elder Scrolls guy. Never been a big fan of Bethesda, to be honest. And he was like, oh, where's this dude going? And then I was like, but that showing, you've got me, dude. You've got me. I am 110% in. 110% in on Starfield. Super excited. Everything you can do in that game is amazing. We can get into the 60, 30 FPS thing, but guys, just as a round table, sort of what did you think? What got you excited? What was the thing for you that was like, yeah, Cutie, I'm going to go to you. And then we'll follow up with the guest and move down the line.
The thing that got me, so I knew Starfield was going to be good. I didn't know if it was going to be like, I literally have to buy every single thing to do with this game, cannot wait, until I saw during the extended part that the traits that you select for your character affects the way you play, like the way you engage in combat, the way people talk to you, the way, just everything. And I was like, oh my God. And I remember, and probably when Riskit had that light bulb moment, I think that happened to me sort of step by step throughout the Starfield Direct. It was like, oh, you're doing this. Okay, but it'd be really cool if you did this. Wait, okay, we're doing this now. Okay, but what if we do this? And it just kept unfolding. And it was a beautiful sort of unwrapping of the absolute amazingness that this game is. And this is probably, and I put this up on Twitter, I'm like, is this going to define our generation? Like I'm so excited. And you know, I don't normally get this excited about single player games, but man, oh my God. Like
it blew all of us away, Cutie.
I didn't think, like, from what I'd seen before, it looks so good. It looks amazing.
It looked dramatically better than the last time
it did, didn't it?
I don't actually think you're going to get to the gameplay because I thought you'll be stuck in that character creator.
Oh, I'll be in there for at least 2 days, Pete. Like the first 2 days is just going to be character creation. Like honestly, the amount of things that you can customize in that game is insane, and it's tickling that little. It's just that little bone inside my gamer mind, and I'm so excited. It's going to be incredible. Please tell me I'm not the only one.
You're definitely not the only one.
Definitely
I think
not
that right
alone.
there, generationally speaking, like we already know it's going to be a generationally great game, and you got that from that. That's the thing that kind of struck me most is like we all saw that, and all of us got that same feeling. Even our Hoove brothers, who they might try to deny it, but you could not have seen that, and we're like, you just can't. And if you say you did, I think
Umbra,
you're lying.
you're saying that. Can I ask you, do you think that it was the right decision by Bethesda to do it, to make it in Creation Engine 2?
You know, I at a point wanted it to be Unreal, and you all heard me say that. Well, I want everything to be Unreal, so that's not a surprise. But anyway, I think that it still being only 30 frames versus 60, I wonder if that is an issue with that engine. But with the scope of what you get and everything like that, and how great it looked, how now at least, and the gun combat looking so much better. No, I think they made the right choice. You know what I mean? And it looks so damn good. I think bringing in id Software like they did, I thought it helped them with the gunplay, but it actually helped them with the visuals, as we've come to find.
That was,
and it
curious
looks
to hear that.
The crazy thing is
so damn good.
The crazy thing is after it helped them with Fallout 4's gunplay, I think they learned a lot. And yeah, you're right.
I
It was really
agree.
surprising to learn that it really helped them with the more software side of things. So building things out, like things like motion blur, adding things like that. But that was really surprising. I agree.
Also, them having global illumination, which just dramatically made the lighting of the game look so much crazier and better. I think like a lot of us might overlook that, but like look how dramatically better it looks just because of the lighting.
Every planet will be different depending on the atmosphere, depending on the source of lighting.
The star and all
unbelievably done. Yeah,
and I love that.
I'm guessing most of the processing power and the reason we're not getting 30 is due to that global illumination, and I think that they've made the right decision, to be honest.
CPU heavy sort of a game when you look at it all.
Yeah,
massively,
the interconnected systems. Todd Howard pointed out the fact that anything can happen at any given time in any one of their games, and they wanted that headroom. So yeah, look, I know people are pushing the 30 frames per second thing, and I get why they're doing that. They're upset that they're not getting this game. I would be salty as fuck if I wasn't going to be able to play this game, because we were all there. We all watched the same thing, and I don't think September 6th can come fast enough.
Yeah,
I think, you know what, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but when Skyrim first came out, it was 12 gigabytes. Starfield is clocking it at 125 gigabytes.
Yeah, and
that's huge.
And this world is huge. Like the galaxy, you get 1,000 planets to go through. Now people are going to complain, well, a lot of them are going to be barren. Well, you're in space. What do you expect?
Well, that's
1,000 planets.
That's the thing. Like they're all procedurally generated, so you know they can procedurally generate a space station, you know, on, or like a little hub world on these planets. So you know, some of them will be barren and for resource collecting, and some of them will have things on you for all procedurally generated and all different from each other. So we'll all have a different experience, which is absolutely amazing. But you definitely hit the nail on the head. And I did speak to Jason about this, and I did Jason Ronald, and I did speak a little bit to Pete Hines about this, and you definitely hit the nail on the head when you're talking about global illumination. So it's almost as it's almost as intensive as ray tracing, and it is sort of a type of ray tracing as it paths the light for each game. You couldn't bake in lighting for this game. Like it would be probably, I would hazard to say maybe more intensive, but it just wouldn't have the effect. You can't bake in lighting for a game that's you're flying around the outside of a planet and the light's moving from the source, from the sun or from whatever it's bouncing off, giving you the colors and effect. And I just, Kay Asante would be one to definitely talk to about this. Kay, how you doing in the chat there? Like, is this sort of global illumination, I think, is the right choice for this game. It just wouldn't have the effect otherwise, and I believe that's why it is 30. It's something that I talked to Jason about, and global illumination is extremely taxing. There's things in the series consoles that sort of help with that. Slinky says the voice acting is not very good, but there was one thing that you were all very wrong about. Very, very wrong, and I definitely have to point this out, is that PlayStation 5 players will be able to play this at 60 on YouTube.
I knew you were going to say that. That was coming.
Yeah, look, I'm super, super hyped. Garuda, like, were you pissed about the 30 frames per second?
Oh yeah. Look, I don't want to upset people, but yeah, look, some of you guys already know from some of the party chats we've had since that reveal that, yeah, super disappointed. And I know we didn't get that information at the showcase as such. It wasn't until the next day kind of thing that we found out. But first of all, I'll preface what you're asking me with this. Starfield was the best game demonstration that I've ever seen. Hands down. And I said that at the time. And I've got to say also, I apologize to Pete, his watch party, and everybody, like the dozen or so people that were in it, if I ruined it by just because I was just constantly like, oh, wow. Oh,
hey,
wow.
Garuda, come on, man.
Bro,
Everybody was
away.
doing the same thing, bro, man. That game was something else.
I was blown away. I was beside myself with how much this game had improved. I was already hyped for it. Every time I thought to myself, I wonder if you can do this. Next thing I know, you can do it. And I think I commented at the time, this is 5 games in one. This game is 5 games in one game, right?
Yep.
It was incredible. There is nothing available or in development or that any other developer is doing or can do that is even half as ambitious or impressive as what I've seen at that showcase with Starfield.
That's just a fact.
That's a fact. No one else can do this or is doing this. This game is incredible, right? So you asked me about the 30 FPS. I'm a console gamer and I like console gaming. I like the simplicity that goes with it. I've always been a console gamer and I don't have a PC that could even have a dream of running this. But when I found out it was 30 FPS, that game showing of Starfield became the most bittersweet thing that I've ever seen revealed. Not just that it was both the best and the most bittersweet, because it confirmed to me that consoles for me are done. I'm moving away because I want to play that game. That game deserves to be played at its in its best light, in its best fidelity, in its best performance. If ever there was a game to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a ridiculous rig for, it surely must be this game, right? And that's where I'm heading with it. I'm bitterly disappointed about the 30 FPS. Look, I get it in some ways, and in others I don't. And here's the thing I don't get it. Here's the reason why I don't get what Todd said about his creative vision, and that's the reason why it was 30. It's because the recommended PC specs for Starfield have been released. They're out there into the public for everyone to see. The minimum specs are there and the recommended specs are there. Now, the status quo being that with the status quo sort of being that the recommended specs are able to run, most games at 60 FPS, albeit with maybe a couple of concessions, 60 FPS plus. When you look at those specs, they're pretty much in line with the Series X and what's the hardware that's inside the Series X. So with that being said and that being known, why is Series X console players not going to be offered the same option?
Yeah, so the recommended specs doesn't guarantee that you're going to be able to play it at 60.
But if you go back and have a look at the recommended specs, almost every game, if you check it out, almost every game at recommended specs can do it with concessions.
So let me say this. I wonder then, Garuda, do you guys and all of you, do you think that speaks to him not just saying what the elephant in the room is, and that Xbox has some issues that it can't do what he wanted to do? Or-
That's a hard one. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, and I was going to say, so I believe he did go on record by saying they hit 60, but not consistently. So they decided to go with 30 locked.
Okay, look, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a game developer or anything like that, but I have curiosities that stand out to me that I need to ask, and this is one. I heard him say that as well, Umbra. Yes, it hits 60, he said, but quite often it drops well below that.
Yep.
Now, if it's hitting 60 at the fidelity and the vision that he wants, some of the time, then that tells you that surely if you reduce the output resolution to 1080p, that it's going to hit 60 a hell of a lot more of the time, naturally. Okay. And if we're doing that, which we will be, mark my words, we will be doing that at recommended PC specs with those in line with Xbox Series X, how are we not getting that option? It just makes no sense. The creative vision statement makes no sense if you're going to be getting that performance level on equivalent specs on PC.
See,
I don't understand it.
But that's why I said what I said, right? To preface it.
Is it a problem with the Xbox Series X architecture?
And maybe he's saying it in a way to be PC, not to, trash.
Well, Phil come out and said this is not a platform issue. Are you defending the platform?
He said it's a creative choice, right?
Yeah, but I don't.
I wonder if that is actually the thing.
Me too. I wonder.
If
the question is there to be asked now. Okay, it is, because in black and white, you're going to see PCs with maybe even less spec than a Series X, right? Running that game at 60 FPS. You will. Everyone in the space who's a PC guy knows that.
And has 4K though, you think?
No, they won't be. But no one ever expects that you don't have to make concessions to get a higher frame rate. No one expects that, right? It makes no sense that the option isn't there. It's either an optimization issue or it's a system level issue with the Xbox and it's whatever the dev kit. I don't know whatever limitations there might be there. Okay, because this doesn't make sense. Because otherwise, you get where I'm going with this, right? If the specs are there and PC's going to be doing it, then we should be doing it on console. But so I'm out on consoles. My PS5's already for sale after their dismal showcase. The Switch is going. Series X and S are both going. 4 consoles are getting sold. And I'm going a 40 series card because I want to play this game, man, in its absolute... I'm still going to be in the Xbox ecosystem. I love Xbox and what they're doing. I love Game Pass. I'm still going to be there, but I want to play this game at a minimum of 60 FPS, man. I really do.
Yeah, but I remember you talking about this, Garuda, and you think that this is the way that more games are going to be going, and I just disagree with that fact completely.
But
I think the size and the scope of this game, and Todd Howard has said that he didn't want to reduce his vision, and his vision is in 4K native clarity. I don't think it's an Xbox issue. I think it's an art style direction that they've chosen, and so I just think you're wrong.
But if that's the case, though, Pete, and I mean, like, I'm not an expert on this stuff too. That's why I'm having this conversation with you guys. But if the case was for him to have his vision at 4K native and everything like that, why would they release the specs being equivalent or lower than Series X? Like, recommended specs aren't based on 30 FPS generally. They're not. Minimum.
You just said it's recommended specs. Like you're suggesting that those recommended specs will be playing in 60. You don't know that, but regardless, I think it's his creative vision. It's Todd Howard's vision, and anyone that disagrees with it, just don't play the game.
Okay, I get you. I understand that, and there's merit in what you're saying with his vision. But do you think Todd Howard will play this game at 30 FPS when he's got the ability
to play? He's going to be playing it on a PC. Of course he is.
That's right. So
no. Let me hold on. No, sorry, he actually is playing it at 30 FPS already. He sits down and he's.
I don't believe it.
No, he is.
I don't believe it.
Talk to him about it.
He prefers 30. He's gone on record many times saying that.
He sits down in his he doesn't like being in his studio when he's chilling out playing. And he's been playing it at 30 on his Series X.
That's cool, but objectively, it's worse. You can't say in my opinion, you can't say you prefer 30 FPS. You can say I'm okay with it. But you can't say it's better.
I think probably the game performs better at 30 FPS. We all know this. There are so many layers to this game.
Yeah, but Todd Howard has that he liked the filmic aspects. He's been saying this for years. He's always been on that 30 frames.
Look,
per
obviously,
second.
I care about it more than a lot of people care about it. So that for me is why I've got to just bite the bullet and move to the platform that can give me what I want. And like I'm disappointed in that because that showing on one hand was the best thing I've ever seen. On the other hand, it is it's going to be an expensive goddamn video game demonstration for me, you know. But yeah, look, man, I just don't think it's good. I think, and I do think we're going to be seeing more 30 FPS games because we've already started seeing it. As soon as we get these games that are pushing the envelope a little bit, we're seeing them not reach 60, you know, consistently or just not at all.
Star Wars Outlaws, by the way.
Yeah. Final Fantasy demo that just released, it's not hitting 60, not even close. Jedi Survivors struggling to hit 60. Plague Tale took 6 months to hit 60 with massive concessions. Gotham Knights is not hitting 60. Flight Sim's not hitting 60. Like, you can make excuses for all these games, but the fact remains that when all these games are current gen only releases, they're not hitting 60. We're going to see
early
more
in the
of it.
generation. None of them are actually using the power of the X. Most of them are crossover games, and a lot of these are things that you're stating are all optimization issues that were.
But we're making a lot of excuses.
And I don't think
like
that there was massive concessions to Plague Tale at all. I think the developers at Asobo did an absolutely amazing job.
They
in
did.
60,
It
but they
looks
didn't
good.
want to dumb down their vision of having that amount of rats on screen because the whole story revolves around the rat plague. So it's creative vision storytelling and their decision. But you're saying that this is going to become the norm, and I just totally disagree with
not
that.
the norm,
You said it
but it's going to
yourself.
be a
that the
lot more often.
No, you did say in that party that it was going to be the norm, and this is what developers are going to do, and I will disagree with that fact, and I will push back against that fact.
It's going to be a lot more common than what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, so what I would say to you, Garuda, is that you're being a little bit premature, and not for any of the reasons that you
just basing it off what we've seen so far.
Yeah,
all the current gen games have had troubles, every one of them.
Yeah, so if these consoles can't do it, then maybe there's options later on in the generation that can.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go ahead and start buying a $5,000 PC or $4,000
I am.
PC.
No question. I'm not playing at 30 FPS, and that's a me thing. I get that, but I'm not playing this incredible epic game for 10 years at 30 FPS, bro. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, well, you won't have to.
Me,
even if you didn't get a PC, you won't have to.
I'm glad we have that option, and credit to Xbox. This is why Xbox is the best. You don't have to play on the console. You can play anywhere. They don't limit you, man. Xbox is the best. I go to PC and I'm still on Xbox, man, and like shout out to them for that. So it costs me more money to have the niceties that I want, but I don't lose anything, So
as long as you lose money, to be fair, but as long as you're content with your purchase, man, listen, I don't care. Enjoy. It's like you said, you'll still be in the Xbox ecosystem either way. So
I will be, and I love the roadmap they've got. I love everything about it. It's just I can't do 30, man, and a lot of people can't. And people that are upset about 30, I think they got every right. Everybody's shutting them down, saying, "What do you expect? Look what this game's doing," and blah 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 blah. But we're not getting what we were promised so far this generation, and that's the reality of it. That's a fact.
I just disagree with that statement completely. I'm playing Halo in 120 frames. I'm playing most games in 60. Well, you're overstating the few outliers.
Hear me out. They're all last gen games. Games that are running at 120 and 60 are last gen games. That's why we've seen such a big increase in frames and stuff, because they're all cross generation games. They're designed for old hardware that are being pushed to another limit on better hardware.
And we're starting to see the fruition of the games that have been made only for this generation coming now.
And they're all 30.
And Riskit is right. You're premature. No, they're not all 30. Where is that statement based on?
Where's the current gen game
that is absolutely a ridiculous statement because we haven't even seen them.
I just named 6 of them that all released it and they can't hit 60. I'm just saying.
I told you that on each of those cases, they've either fixed the issue with Valhalla. They fixed the issue. Okay, the only one that's still there is Gotham Knights, and I still believe to this day it's an optimization issue. We've seen that Plague Tale was able to solve it with a little bit more optimization. You have to remember that they're working with new software that Xbox have decided to go with this generation, and they haven't started to use the power of the Xbox. They really haven't.
That's true. A lot of those things aren't getting used, but when is it going to happen?
You are massively premature with your statement, and you're overstating the very few games that I haven't been able to hit it.
Well, I'll say this.
Maybe I am. Sorry, you guys.
No,
I'm just having a rant.
I was going to say whether you are premature or whatever it is, or whosever opinion it is, if you're saying, "Hey, I'm going to go get a PC to do this," then do what you got to do. None of us should have an issue with that. I think just do what you're going to do, man. Enjoy it. You're still going to be in the
happy
Xbox
for you to
ecosystem.
get a PC.
Yeah,
I
you're
mean,
still going to be in the
you're
Xbox
stating the
ecosystem. You're still
reasons
going to
why
be
you're
enjoying this
stating to get a
game.
PC because you're not going to be getting 60 frames in future games that you don't even know is just a ridiculous statement. And I don't think it bodes
I'm-
well to tell our community that, because then they might be thinking you're right, and I just will disagree with that point.
That's cool. You can disagree, but even when we're getting 60 frames, we're taking massive compromises.
All
And
right,
I-
boys.
I'm
I'm just going to say this in the words of Daddy Phil Spencer: when we all game, we all win.
Yeah, for sure, and that's what I love
Okay.
about it.
So
And
it
you're
doesn't
saying that
matter.
we're getting massive compromises, but if you
No,
use
I
things
don't
like
think so.
FSR
It-
2.0
Game,
and things like that, things that are 1080p will actually look native, and you can look through the Digital Foundry videos to point to those facts. So you're saying that you're compromising, but I don't really think that there is.
Give us a mid-gen refresh, Xbox.
Hell yeah! So I
Well,
don't
listen,
have
that's the thing. I was just letting that go because I really don't like it when hosts jump in on back and forths and stop them. And I think they should be allowed to sort of run their course. I feel like that one's run its course. It was fun. I was laughing.
If I've
But-
seen
I knew you were. You were way too quiet. I knew you were.
If I've seen all those tools and everything being utilized, then I might have a bit of hope, but I'm not seeing that.
Listen,
So
I can tell you
what about
this. I can tell you this. I will tell you something that I spoke to Jason Ronald, and look, all the guys who were with me, they know that I'm not, and you guys know now that I'm not backwards and coming forwards, and I will ask the hard questions, even if it paints me in a light of like, shit, I don't want to sit down with this dude again because he's going to hit me up. There's a lot that Jason wouldn't tell me, right? And I did ask him a question about an Xbox Pro, and I even reframed it, and I said, well, how about if PlayStation does a Pro? Do you have to respond? And he said, I ain't telling you shit. Right? And I was like, that's fair enough. But you know what he didn't say? He didn't say no. But
So
I'll also
you take that didn't say no as a yes.
But I'll also tell you this. I'll tell you something else that he asked me. He said, well, listen, and then he put it out to the whole table. And there was a good amount of us there. There was probably at least 10 of us sitting around, right? And he said, listen, so if I went ahead and I made $1,000 system and the thing does everything, right? It's going to cost you $1,000, does absolutely everything. And I release that now. Are you going to fork out that $1,000 for it? And at half the table, and I'm really pissed at the other half of the table, half of the table said yes, right? Hands up. And then the other half of the table didn't. And then Jason said, look, this is sort of what we're faced with. I would argue that everyone sitting here is on the very hardcore side of gaming. He goes, but that's not the market. The biggest market is not you guys. So if I make $1,000 console, only half of you guys are going to buy it. What do you think the casuals are going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a limit to what they can do with cost, and there's a limit to what they can do with hardware. And listen, Garuda, if you want to go out there and you want to spend $5,000, and it's going to be minimum $5,000, like I'm telling you now.
I know, dude. I know,
if
dude.
you want to go out there and spend $5,000, then absolutely. But I'll just say to you this: he didn't say no, and so that's a very interesting, because all he needed to do was go, "No, we're not doing it." But he didn't.
That's
say
cool,
that.
but it isn't going to be released for in time for my Starfield. I know that much.
Well, that's probably true, but I'll also say to you this: like, you know, we're coming up to that 4-year mark. You know, and I think in about 6 months we should be hitting the 4-year mark. You know, maybe 8. That's about the time where you're going to see. You're going to see, if you're going to see a Pro, we're going to see it then. We've already heard rumors of the Pro. I'm pretty sure Xbox has got something in the works. And one other thing I'll say is that I know now for a fact he's been working on the next Xbox since before this one was released. Since before.
Yeah, they said that. They came out even last year or even the year before and said that they've been working on new Xbox hardware already. So they've sort of contrarian to what they said a few days ago. They've told us they're working on new Xbox hardware.
Yeah. Well, Thimba in the chat said, I'm telling you right now, buddy, Phil got you answer a few days ago. He said no. I don't think he did say no, dude. I will go back.
He's not going to say yes there, is he, in that forum? Like,
yeah, I'm not even going to go back and look at it to know. He wouldn't have definitely said no. I'm telling you now, I do believe that there will be a mid-generation refresh. Pete's concerned about his knees, and that's why he fights against it so hard.
No, I'm not concerned about my knees, but they haven't even started to utilize the power of the X. And the reason why we got a mid-gen refresh, and the only time we've ever got a mid-gen refresh, is the prevalence of 4K TVs last generation, and there is nothing to suggest that we need one this generation.
Well, there
I
is.
think we'll eventually get one. I just don't think it'll be anytime soon.
We're having this conversation. That's why we need one, Pete.
Mhm.
Yeah, look, I disagree. I think that once we start seeing games that are fully made for this generation, and they start implementing things like DirectML, which will work, really heavily impact the physics side of things, and they will allow them to offset more things to the cloud, and start using mesh shaders and all these yada nature
Now, there's a
features. I
point.
think that we will.
There's a good point.
Will get. Yeah.
I can tell you something else as well. Just something if you guys are sort of getting the nitty gritty of what I asked. But I did ask, it wasn't me who actually asked. I believe it was Hargeet. Hargeet asked about mesh shaders. So he didn't say anything to do with. So the question was, have we seen games with mesh shaders? So he didn't answer that in any definitive way. But what he did say is that there are games being built. Like he was very careful with his wording. There are games that are being built with mesh shaders. So that
will only be first party, but because Sony aren't using mesh shaders,
they are using mesh shaders, but it's just a very old, an old form.
Primal or something like that. I think Panda was talking about, so similar but different. But yeah, I agree where you're coming with.
Yeah. So
what's up, OBM? OBM says in the chat, if there's no mid-gen refresh, this gen will be shorter than you all think. Next gen of CPUs are coming, and they'll be crazy for AI.
Exactly. This hardware is getting left behind faster than it ever has.
Yeah, and this is the other thing I'll say to you as well. Like, there's a lot that I got, and that's where they're headed. That's where Xbox is headed, and it was a conversation about what do you guys want to see? And he said, do you want to see greater graphics? Do you want to see better frames? I said, look, if we're hitting like 1440p, 1080p upscaled, and we're getting 60 frames, there's nowhere further that I think you should take it. And I said, it's the in-game physics and all that sort of stuff that I want to see. And he said, that takes a lot of development time, right? So what we're looking at, or what we need to look at based on what you're saying, is we need to start looking at AI. We need to start looking at making these games easy to develop for the developers themselves, so that when they can procedurally generate, like a lot of what UE5 is doing, that's using AI to procedurally generate a world around your curated world, right? And so that's sort of where it's heading. But are they going to start doing that in game, Pete? Like, start doing that while the game's playing, right? Starfield is partly doing that. It has a bit of that going on. It has the AI where it's procedurally generating these worlds.
We haven't seen Microsoft really implement DirectML in gaming, and that's that is low-level machine learning in gaming. We haven't seen them touch on that. That is really going to affect the implementation of all these background, like the world running in things like Starfield, so people going about their daily tasks, and we haven't really seen them offload a lot of these things to the cloud yet. None of these things have really been implemented. This generation is still so young. It really is. There's so much to come, and I will push back on this point all the time. I get where OBM's coming from, but Garuda just said that this generation's been overtaken faster than Eddie. That's not true. We were actually ahead of the curve. Xbox were ahead of the curve. That's why they waited so long. That's why they came in so hot with the RDNA.
Yeah, I don't mean
features.
at release.
Last generation was completely different. When the Xbox One released with the Jaguar cores, they were already behind the curve. So I disagree.
Wait, but you've taken me. You haven't really taken what I meant in exactly the right context. At release in this generation, we were much further ahead, as you mentioned, than we were last generation with those horrible Jaguar cores and things that were outdated already. I'm not saying that we were behind when we began. We weren't. But what I'm saying is, with each new iteration, with each new CPU upgrade, with each new GPU upgrade, the gulf in power is growing. The baseline gulf in power with each new iteration is growing. So every time a new series of hardware comes out, it's just the gulf between them is huge. So that's what I mean about how it's advancing quicker than ever. Not that we launched in a bad state or that we were behind when we launched this generation, because that's not true. You're right, though. We haven't even scraped the surface of what these systems can actually do from a technology and tools standpoint. But 3 years in, I'm still waiting for that. And there's no real sort of signs that we're sort of scratching the surface of that yet, especially with third parties who, with Xbox being the smaller market share, they're going to be less incentivized to use those tools for a smaller market, which they are not able to use on, say, the PlayStation version of a game, because all this stuff needs to be implemented at a base and fundamental level, I guess you could say. So the third parties are almost never going to use these tools, and with that in mind, it's disappointing. That's what I'm saying.
And that's true. And you need the market to adopt, just like, for instance, haptic, feedback. And I think when Xbox becomes bigger, and I really think it was something else I wanted to talk about. We are hitting a very sort of a late time in the show. When Xbox gets a bit more size to it, maybe there's something they can put in contracts with these third-party developers to make them use the hardware at least to half of its potential, which I don't even think we've hit. And I'm telling you, Garuda, we'll talk later, but I think you're being a little bit premature and you might be having a little hissy fit. I don't know, man.
I am having a hissy fit. I know. I'm fully aware that I'm having a massive tantrum over this. I'm having a huge cry, and I'm self-aware about that. I really am. I'm just so stoked for stuff.
You're not the only
I don't want 30. I hate 30.
You're not the only one, bro. Ganga told me yesterday that he's basically buying a $5,000 PC to play Starfield as well. So
dude, I'm putting in overtime.
I understand where you guys are coming from. Starfield is one of those special games that comes around one in a generation. No game has ever shown like that.
No,
and if you there are people out there in the community like Red Dead Panda who actually get physically sick if they play a game in 30. So I completely understand it. But look, I think that has more to do with the frame drops, and everything that Todd said is this game runs at a stable 30, and they've left, like he said, that it also runs at 60 sometimes, but they've left a lot of headroom there because anything can happen in a Bethesda game at any time, and they needed that headroom, and they didn't want to compromise on that. So yeah, look, I can't say I'm one of those people that get ill if I can play a game at 30, so I don't actually understand where that threshold is. But
for me, it's when you move the camera, right? I'm very sensitive to it, and that's why I'm very passionate about not wanting to play at 30. For me, it's all good when you're standing in one spot, but when you move that camera, it's like, ugh, this is just awful. When you move the camera, that flip book kind of janky. I don't know how to explain it, but when you move the camera, it's horrible. That's what I don't
all
like
I gotta say is you all are taking up my Diablo time.
Sorry, bro. You guys knew that I was going to rant on this today. I'm very sorry, but I know I'm having a tantrum, and I'll stop it there.
Yeah, look, I think we can all agree that Starfield was a generational leap in gaming as well. I think what it's going to be doing,
game of the generation.
Yeah, I think what it's going to be doing is something completely different to anything that we've ever seen before, and I'm pretty stoked to sort of see it. And look, people who were at that fan fest played it, and I didn't see anyone unhappy, and they played it on a Series X, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But it's been an absolutely fantastic show. Look, everyone who's in the chat, you guys have been absolutely amazing. Yes, they do sell $5,000 PCs in Australia, and that's usually what you're sort of heading to, man. So recommended specs, K Asante, to add an extra K and an extra 500. So you're talking about $7,000 for the recommended specs.
I've had a look. You can get with a little few tiny compromises, you can get a 4080 build for just over 3K, but
you don't have to go to a 4080, by the way, though.
No, I want to though. I've had a look. I want to. If I'm going to do it,
what 4080 you getting for 3K, bro. I don't know where you've been looking, but
I'll show you, bro. I know what you're saying.
And we're back on this, but we do need to sort of end the show, so I don't want to jump into the 4090 conversation. This is Xbox Infinite after all. You're banned forthwith. No, you're only kidding.
Why does this happen every time you're on the show, Garuda? We always get into it.
The chat.
I wonder why.
It's all love, Pete. I love you, bro. Because I think you're a good, intelligent fella to have a good.
I'm gonna mute you guys in a minute. I'm telling you. Yeah, in the chat, you guys have been absolutely fantastic. Like you guys have stuck with us through the whole way. It's been a bit of a long show today. There was a lot to get through, and I really appreciate every single one of you. Garuda, Intruda, it was amazing to have you back on the show, man. And look, PC or Xbox, we're all one and the same. As long as you're not a PlayStation, no, they're fine. It was awesome to have you. So let people know where they can find you, what you'd be up to, what you're looking forward to be playing, sir.
Yeah, look, I still haven't kicked off the YouTube thing, but I'm actually setting up everything so that I can start sort of building a channel out and everything like that. I'm spending a lot of money, but as far as gaming is concerned, yeah, look, Diablo 4, it's absolutely incredible. It's everything I wanted it to be. Performance-wise, it is just on point on no matter what device you've played it on. I played it on Series S. It's rock solid 60. Everywhere you go, it's just beautiful. That's going to take up a lot of my time. You know, I started a game just after all this Redfall debacle. I started up Prey 2018, and I've never played it before. And just to see what went wrong and is this game really good? That's a great game. What happened with Redfall? I do not know. That I can't believe that was Arcane Austin's game before Redfall. It was really good. That was bizarre. And yeah, I will always be playing Grounded and Vampire Survivors as well. And man, we're eating so good. Like Doomy said earlier, this is the best year in gaming that I can remember in a long time. So if you can't find something to play, perhaps you need a new hobby.
Absolutely, you definitely do. If you can't find something to play this year and next, it's maybe you don't like gaming. Doom Cutie or D ... Another fantastic show. Let people know where they can find you, what you'll be up to. You've got that All Girls Gaming podcast, I believe it's called. Or is it the Double I can't remember what it's called. What's it called?
Do not. Yeah, honestly, thanks so much, Garuda, for being here. You're always awesome. I do like hearing you enthuse about PCs. Don't listen to these guys. And the chat, as always. And it's so nice to be on the podcast again because, I don't know, I missed it last week. I was busy and we all were busy. But yeah, I always notice it when I'm not here. This week, I've missed out on some gaming time. Like I'm pretty sure like everyone is like way ahead of me in Diablo now, so probably have a lot of catching up to do there. And yes, Riskit, you are correct. We are full steam ahead over at Confessions of the Gamer Girl podcast. We've got 5 videos up on YouTube, so go check them out. And yeah, it's an exciting time to be a gamer, and I am absolutely loving my time here. So thank you all.
So Confessions of a Gamer Girl has a YouTube channel of its own?
Yes, it does. It won't be hosted just on my channel, no.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting. I will definitely link those down in the description. No, get those over to me, cutie, so that you guys can head down and find any one of our panel, any one of our guests after the show by just clicking their links. Infinite Umbra, another fantastic show. Let people know where they can find you, what you'll be up to, and what the fix is looking for next. We had a lot of massive guests on the show this week, so that was great to see.
Man, I had some big time legends on there. It was excellent. I mean, if you all missed out, I blame you, and I don't want to talk to you ever again. No, I'm joking. Definitely come by and support me over on my channel, guys. You can click it, type my name up, you'll find me, Infinite Umbra. On Twitter, you can find me Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. I apologize for these two for arguing over, 30 frames and 60 frames. I try to bring a certain type of je ne sais quoi, to show Cutie that I deserve to be a mod in her program.
Not happening.
And I see the men arguing like this, and I get why Cutie doesn't want that, but I'm different, Cutie. So I said,
I told you the applications went out. You could have applied. So
I shouldn't have to apply.
Well, then you don't want it.
I know you. Listen.
Yeah, I acknowledge that I was having a cry. I'm sorry about that.
I'm playing, brother.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm playing. Listen, this is misandrous that you don't want to have men on there, and I have to call that out, Cutie. Yeah.
So moving on, what do you? And I'm already a mod.
Let me stop messing with
you.
Yeah, right.
I'm messing.
What are you up to for this week? Talk to me. What do you got?
More gaming with Diablo. I'm going to be enjoying more of that, trying to get to level 70, enjoying it, loving it. I don't think it's my game of the year. I do think it's really great, but I still stick to Jedi Survivor so far for now that it's the game of the year until Starfield. Starfield is about to take game of the year, folks.
Mm-hmm.
You can take that
game
to
of the
bank.
Game of the generation.
Game of the generation, without a doubt. It's a generationally great game. Yeah, guys, it was fun talking with you guys today. And man, I've been podcasting the hell out of this week, actually. I have another podcast tomorrow night with PTK Blam, who also just came back from LA. And that'll be tomorrow night at
PT was a good dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I know he's a good guy. So I wish I would have went out there. It did give me FOMO after I started seeing you guys' images. I'm like, but maybe next year, I'll try to do it. I know it sounds like us talking about E3 all the time. Maybe wait till next year. But yeah, man, I'm excited. Everybody should be excited. Honestly, what Xbox and what Field and team delivered to us, you should be excited. Honestly, you have no reason to be doom and gloom. This is what we asked for. They delivered on every front, in my honest opinion. Just about.
Future of the platforms never looked better.
Agreed. So, be encouraged and much love
Cutting
to
into
my
my Diablo
panelists.
time, bro.
I'm sorry. I apologize, sir. I apologize.
You guys had plenty of time. Plenty of
I
time.
will carry you further in Diablo once we get on, as I did before. Yeah, much love to the chat. Thank you all for being here supporting us. Later, guys.
Thanks so much.
Jedi Knight, how's your week looking? What are you up to? What are you playing? And if you do want to find Cutie, she's linked in the chat, and it's also down in the description as well. You can also find anyone else's links down there. You can find Infinite Umbra's The Fix podcast down there. Head over and subscribe there as well. Pete, what are you going to be up to? What are you doing? How's your week looking?
And Diablo pretty much straight after the show. Thank you to Boba for getting me to tier 4. I know I was making a little bit of fun before, saying that I carried him. He really did carry me through. I think I was only level 63 at the time. So yeah, can't wait to look forward to playing more of that. Umbra, you definitely didn't carry me, bro. I
feel like you left out
twice.
Infinite Umbra.
I feel like
you left out Infinite Umbra getting you to 4.
If my memory serves, bro, I think you died twice during that boss fight when I picked you up.
Listen.
Just saying, bro.
Listen.
Thank you so much
purposely
to the chat,
died
Garuda.
to make you feel like a hero.
Bro. Awesome back and forth. Yeah, I just want to play some Diablo. I'm out.
Absolutely. It's been a fantastic
I feel like
show.
you left me out of helping you get to that level. I just want to point that out. But okay.
It's been a fantastic show, guys. Thank you, everyone who came through. And Lord Starkiller did put through a few super thanks earlier last week. I really appreciate those. And sort of what I'm going to do is I might sit down with some of the comments that come through, because I don't have too many at the moment, and make sort of a separate video of just going through and talking to your comments and what you guys say after the show. So keep an eye out for that. I'll probably be doing that this week. And yeah, the week's looking fantastic. It's a fantastic year for gaming. We really are in the golden age now, and we will see you all next week. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Later.